good evening, one and all human beings, robots, peasants, alcoholics, anything you want. Everyone's a label these days, including Julio. He's just labelled clown. Welcome to the World of Football podcast, where it's a permanent change. Permanent change on the podcast, which we'll come to very shortly. And yes, they certainly did, and they did get a bad decision.
Let's get it on the screen right now.
Absolutely. There's a lot to get through, and I'll explain what I mean very shortly about the change to the podcast. But in the meantime, it's my co-host, Nathan, and of course, our fellow panelist and member of the podcast, Julio. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
All right. All things considered. We'll get into it shortly.
Nathan, yourself?
I am very well, thank you, Mr. Reece Russell. And he will come back to me in saying co-host. And I'm not sure if whoever wants to make the announcement, whether it's yourself, Julio, or myself. But what a weekend of football it's been. From batterings to incompetence to all the flavours that we love in world football. And Mr. Ant in the comments as well. Having a very good weekend with Leicester yet again. Thanks for having us on, and let's get on with the quality show tonight.
That is true. The blue side of London, or the worst side of London, to be exact, are in fact 2 up. They cry rivers for us every single day, mate. No wonder Anfield is a dump. They're always doing that. We have a lot to get through. I am going to make the announcement now. This is a reflection of the podcast. Obviously, this was before we went live tonight.
Yeah.
We've all been thinking about this. It's not it's a bombshell to everybody, but it's a good one. Let's be real. So first of all, in the live chat, everybody just give your clap emojis to Josh because he's landed a new job that he's wanted. I want him to see all that we're giving him his full support.
Yeah.
He's certainly going to be training a drive across the tracks, so to speak. It does mean one thing. Josh will no longer be available as of now for the podcast. So we are changing things up.
Yeah.
Obviously, George will still be here from time to time when he's available. Hopefully, he'll be available for the quiz in 3 weeks' time on Sunday, which will be a good laugh, which I will be hosting again that time. It will be Nathan next week and then Julio. And then it will be me on the Sunday. Obviously, Josh will be on that quiz. I'll make sure of it. If not, I will fly to Northern Ireland and I will personally drag his ass on stream for the purposes of making that aware. Hopefully, Doug will be available for the quiz as well. Obviously, Doug has got his own things coming up, which is a matter of speaking. Birth of his Wayne is very seen. Queen of the chat, made his finally appeared. And of course, 2 words of an exclamation. Mudrick scores. Yeah, we'll be bringing him up very shortly. Very, very shortly. So that's going to be pure comedy. I guess 007 really did pass on the role to someone else. We'll figure that one out shortly. But for now, it's me, it's Nathan, it's Julio. This is your permanent panel, unless Julio decides to go on another 3-week travel. In this case, he'll be fined. I haven't disclosed his fine yet. But it is the 3 of us. So welcome to the new look World of Football podcast. We all hope you have an amazing time with us tonight. We've got a lot to get through. As the thumbnail says, all I'm going to say is, I'll just tell you now, tonight's topics are VAR strikes again, Rangers Beale'd out, a little bit of me, United setback at Palace, we're going to be talking that tonight. The champions were hunted by Wolves. Nathan's going to be handling the comments tonight. I can see them, but I'll let Nathan bring them up. And there's a whole lot more, so we're going to dive into that. We've got a little bit of the Bundesliga to talk about, a very controversial decision, in my opinion. The 2-2 draw between Leipzig and Bayern particularly stand out for me. We are going to mug off Ajax. We're going to have a little bit of fun with Ajax again. This is the second show in a row. A little bit of Serie A discussion as well. A little bit of La Liga. Because obviously The upset package, Girona got a humbling at the weekend that I think was a little bit harsh on them, but considering who they were up against, it was expected.
Mhm.
And also, the flat out, we're just going to fucking ruin VAR. And a little bit of the championship. A little bit of the championship. Everyone loves a little bit of the championship. So we'll do a little bit of that. But there is only one place to start. And you know what? Let's go for it. Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but Cardiff are playing really good football at the minute.
I am still in shock. I can't actually remember the last time this has happened, or if I'm dreaming or something. We have won 4 matches in a row.
Yes, in fact, can I just interject for 1 second? Yes, we are, because there was a lot of good results at the weekend, and especially good results if you're a United fan. But yes, so we will talk about that. But even so, Cardiff are playing good football, winning 4 games in a row. Are your fans officially in Delusionalville about doing far in this season, or are you still waiting for that little bit of it's going to come back and bite us? Over to you.
Every single Cardiff fan, just because of how shocking it has been over the last couple of years, are pretty much waiting for this moment. When are Cardiff City going to turn into Cardiff City? And you can see that amongst the fan base. Like, even if you watch my vlog, you will still see the negativity at the start of people moaning about the poor performance.
We've been talking
We
about
will
VAR
get onto
since
this
the
in a
first
bit.
We've been talking about VAR since the first podcast, but today, I think it's today, to be fair, I think we have to discuss it because it's the second situation in a row where Pigmal have actually come and apologised. It's quite laughable now. Doesn't matter who you support, it's quite laughable. But of course, when the Scousers cry, there's more than tears.
Absolutely.
We will definitely come into that, but that's another good one because I watched the highlight of that again earlier today because that's a good point. This was similar to that in terms of like not the situation, but contradiction to VAR's use. And we will be coming on that because again, it's pathetic. But back to Cardiff.
Absolutely. Back to the mighty Bluebirds. I mean, we walked all over Rotherham at the weekend. Admittedly, we did not start that first half well. It was drab. It was slow. There was no creativity. But because we do have an injury issue. Aaron Ramsey's out injured. We only have 1 fit winger. We have 2 centre-backs pretty much at the whole club, considering we sacked Jack Simpson, which I know Reece, that side, was very, very fond about. But we grounded it really well. We're grinding out these great victories, especially against good idea, really good idea.
We all stand on this. If there's a petition, I will be the first to sign it. Oliver to Saudi, here we go. I'm all for it. And you can look back in the previous shows. I did say that should have been a penalty. I never argued that. Wolves got screwed.
You absolutely did. I mean, going back to City anyway.
Yeah.
Second half came out all guns a blazing. We had 70% possession. When do you see that from Cardiff City?
I've never
building up play that well. Exactly. Considering the philosophy and what you could describe as the Cardiff way. It's just completely unheard of at the end of the day. But good 2-0 victory against Rotherham. They look totally woeful with their 300 fans they brought down in a taxi. 4 wins on the bounce into the playoffs, which we all know isn't going to be sustained. I mean, ultimately, if you compare our squad with the others in and around us, I think we will start to drop off soon, in particular with some of the fixtures that we have coming up. But
who have you got coming up? Like who's your next 5 league fixtures?
Of course. So we have Middlesbrough coming up tomorrow night, midweek.
You'll win that. You'll win that. They're shit at the moment. Exactly.
They're coming back into form. However, we do have not to jinx it, but we do have a good record at the Riverside. I mean, we beat them 3. What was it? 3. We were 3-0 up against them last season.
They haven't played good since last year. To be fair, I don't generally think they're good enough. I think these will be fine. I think these will get a 1 or 2-0 win.
Completely agree. So then after that, we have Watford, who you could say they are struggling at the moment. Very, very up and down form. So I reckon at home, I reckon we could get something about that. Then
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You think we can? Yeah, that's not happening, Ant. You guys are flying with the title again.
Very good football.
exceptional.
We'll come on to them very shortly, actually, because I've been impressed.
Absolutely agree. And then we got Blackburn, Huddersfield, and then the Wurzels in Bristol City to end our October.
Okay, so when you look at that, from 15 points, how many points do you generally think you could potentially get from that run?
To be honest, I'll be happy with a point out of Middlesbrough.
I think you'll get about 10.
5, 6, 7.
3 wins, a draw, maybe like that defeat.
Call me insane. I think we're getting 13 out of 15 points.
It's possible. What about you, Julio? What do you think? Let's get you straight onto it, mate.
I think I should start placing bets on Cardiff against them more often, to be honest.
I hope you do.
Maresca has genuinely impressed me.
Can I just say as well, that chant after I went to the King Power in August is firmly stuck in my brain.
Rent free, motherfuckers, rent free.
Oh, it's just
they're playing genuine good football. It'll be interesting to see how they do it in the Prem when they actually come back up.
Yeah, don't this time though, Leicester. Don't do a Burnley, don't do a Vincent Kompany, and make your squad worse. If you lose your Mavrodidis,
he is fantastic. I agree on that.
He is. Lose your Iheanachos, lose your Dewsbury Halls. Good luck. Don't do a Burnley.
He's an outstanding player. But yeah, Julio, so you were in the middle of making Maisie laugh by saying bets on Cardiff. So carry on.
Well, I did, to be honest, didn't I? I mean, I said that Cardiff wouldn't do it against Swansea. I just thought the occasion would get the better of them. And then ever since then, it's almost like they've never looked back. They will fall eventually, but the best thing they could have done after the start they had, especially for some of those players as well, was go on a run.
Yeah.
Because I think in the Championship, one of the most important things is not quality, it's form. I think form supersedes all because the Championship is so competitive. We've seen all those final day battles, whether it's relegation or playoffs, someone will bottle it to someone bottom of the league at the end of the season. Not because of quality, because of almost willpower or plot armor, whichever one you want to look further towards. I think plot armor because it's funny. Like, how did Millwall go into halftime? Was it 3-1 up and then bottle it 4-3 last season to Blackburn at home? Like, I had full on like 2 or 3 screens watching the Sunderland game, the Millwall game, just watching all that unfold live, and it was quite funny. But yeah, I think credit to Cardiff. I mean, I don't know much about Rotherham and their style of play, but given what I'm led to believe about Rotherham and them being a bit of a yo-yo club in terms of Championship and League One, I would have thought 70% possession and 3 points would probably be more expected. I don't know what their footballing philosophy is, but I just think
very much put it this way, Julio. Ever since 16-17, when Neil Warnock kept them up, they have been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Literally every single season until last year, and then they actually stayed up. They are essentially the Norwich of the Championship, but they do it every single season, unlike them bottling it. And they've literally done it for like the past 8 years.
Yeah,
it's insane. And to put it into perspective, what they're doing this season, their team is full of lower league sludge, Cardiff rejects, and Jordan Hugill. They had, 30% possession against us and has 0 shots on target. I think that pretty much says it all of what they're going to do this season.
I mean, what are they? They're second bottom currently in the Championship. Only Sheffield Wednesday is worse. Correct. And then you got Beale or no Beale's old Rangers club, QPR, above them. So I think it's very telling what they're like. I mean, to be honest, I think even though it's Cardiff City and we laugh about them sometimes, fact of the matter is, you should, if you didn't win at the weekend, you should have been disappointed because those are the kind of clubs that you need to get points against. Cardiff may be in 6th, but your prediction at the start of the season or what you would have wanted was to probably stay up or at least.
Prediction at the start of the season was bottom of the league.
Well, not prediction, but you see what I mean. Like, he would have been grateful if they stayed up by a few points with a couple of games to spare. And I think that even though they're on a good form, we can see that quickly change in this league. So, getting these points, I know it sounds like a really bad mentality to have, but getting the points against these teams are going to be essential come end of the season, whether you're somehow sneaking into the playoffs, finishing mid-table, or finishing above the drop zone. So, I mean, fair play to Cardiff. If they get promotion, if they stay up, no matter what, I will be there to watch the show. I've got my pretzels ready for every week of the season to come, and long may this good run of form continue.
I mean, Julio is absolutely right. And just before we very much end it, I would like to say that your place in the championship can literally be decided by a points deduction. That happened to us last season.
Not
that
wrong.
just goes to show how close this league is. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking literally less than 10 points that can get you from a relegation battle all the way up to automatics fighting. That's how close this league is.
Yeah. Like last season, you were the third worst team in the league, but you still stayed up because of Reading getting points deduction. So it says it all. I mean, Reading aren't doing so great right now in League One either, which is even bad for them.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go down again with the way that club's being run at the moment. But to be
it's not looking good.
Not looking good at all. But to be fair, because I'm a Cardiff fan and what they've done to us over the last few years, no sympathy. Welcome in, Kian.
Yep. What do you think? Shall we jump onto it, or shall we give a little bit more praise to Leicester?
Can I say something quickly? Just a couple of things.
There was one other thing I was going to say. Leeds' unbeaten run got ended by Southampton at the weekend.
Southampton won a game.
I was going to say I can't let Southampton go like a little bit without saying fuck the scum, fuck the scum, fuck the scum.
Yeah, but Daniel Farke's in charge, so Leeds brought it on themselves a little bit. Like Southampton aren't looking good at the moment.
No, I'm just happy that they still beat them anyway.
No,
Southampton have literally lost 5 games in a row. All I will say is...
No, Russell Martin lost Southampton 5 games in a row.
Correct.
Dangerous style of play. That's all I'll say. But literally that victory kept him his job, in my opinion. Because the Southampton fans have already been chanting him out. But like I said at the start of the season,
give him another month.
Aren't lasting till the end.
I give him till Christmas. I give him till Christmas because we've seen Southampton be loyal to managers for a long time in the past.
Yeah.
But I give him till Christmas. If he's still there, he's shocked me and all, to be honest.
I agree.
I just want to touch on something quickly. Firstly, Armando Broja has scored this evening for Chelsea, and I'm very happy about that because Broja. Okay. It's Broja. That's how it's pronounced.
Doesn't matter how you say his name. He's a good player.
To be fair, you keep saying my name wrong, so
that's your fault, though.
It's not my fault.
It is. It's your name. It's not my fault.
Oh god. Anyway, but yeah. So with Nicholas Jackson out the side, I think just for this game, or was it more games? Regardless,
I think it's 3 matches.
Yeah. Regardless, it is imperative that he takes his chance now because you got Nkunku coming back from injury in the next month or so. That striker role is up for grabs right now.
If he gets played in that striker role, then Pochettino is a complete idiot. Because Nkunku's not a striker.
Nkunku isn't a striker, no, but the way Chelsea are at the moment, I think that anything can happen. Like literally anyone can play anywhere. True. That striker position is up for grabs. Jackson's has played all the games so far this season, and he's not exactly been pulling up trees. Next Drogba, they said, but it's. I mean, I've just seen that comment. He's out till New Year's. I thought he would be out till November. I don't know if I read that wrong or I don't know if I missed something.
Double check now. 1 second.
So on that aspect, I'm happy that he's got a goal this evening. A bit lucky to get the goal, I will say, but happy nonetheless. It'll be good for him. The other thing is, me and Reece haven't got it easy. Every week there's a new statement coming out, whether it's United or today with Josh. We've always got a new statement coming out that affects us in some way. So it's not looking good, but we love Josh. We're proud of him. And all the best to him in his new opportunity. If he said to me, I turned out this great opportunity that I wanted, I would have flown to Northern Ireland and slapped him, to be honest. So, yeah. But I just wanted to touch on the fact that me and Reece are getting statements left, right, and centre. But I give Reece a 9 out of 10 for that statement that he gave out there at the start. You know, better than what United can produce at the moment, statements-wise, whether it be actual pages or results. Now No, is there anything you guys want to touch on, or do we jump to Leicester now?
I reckon we go straight on to Leicester.
I'm just looking here.
Give Ant his moment.
It looks like his return could be either. It looks like it's going to potentially be December 18th.
Oh wow! So it's longer.
There is a significant, but that's one article. That's from Football.London. I'm now going to look at another article that's there. There's a few. That there is a significant few. I'm just trying to find them. So, One Football. I'll look at them. But
Nathan,
it generally does look. It does look bad for Nkunku. It's a shame. He should never have went to Chelsea anyway. I still stand by it.
did he have much say in the matter though?
He chose to sign the contract. He chose to sign the contract. He shouldn't have signed it. He should have said no. Fuck yous.
Yeah, but did he have offers elsewhere? Because I swear, usually with Leipzig doing deals, Leipzig do the deals, and because it's technically Chelsea classes as a move up in some aspects, the player will obviously go for that opportunity.
He was offered a new contract to stay at Leipzig with more money, with no release clause. Release clause.
I think that's the thing that did scare him, was the no release clause flagged. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't think there was any other offers on the table just because the amount that Chelsea wanted to pay for him.
Let's see. So these are all the. This has actually come from the Evening Standard. So this is very interesting. So these are.
Can we just say, look, that comment is stunning?
Yes.
How does Kean keep winning comments of the night? It just turns up, just drops his 2 cents, and then that's it. It's comment of the evening automatically almost.
Yeah, there's a good ones here. So, player by player, this is Chelsea alone, right? Romeo Lavia, potential return date against Arsenal in October. Noni Madueke, the Fulham game. Well, he's returned, Noni Madueke. He's returned. So that was expected for Reece James, the Arsenal game. Benoit Badiashile, October. Carne Chukwuemeka, October. Chalobah, October. And Nkunku, potential return date is December 18th, which I've just said. Fofana, summer 2024. Just flat out next summer. So that's Chelsea's injuries.
I mean,
it's still got a bazillion players though, so it doesn't matter.
It's 50-50. I mean, you've got key players out there, but even with what they're putting out at the moment and some of the names on that list, I still think the squad is weak. And call me deluded, but I think when you look at Villa and Brighton squads, I got to say there's a better at the moment.
There's a stability in those squads. That's why this squad keeps changing the last 2 years. There is constant flow. I still remember when Tuchel won the Champions League and the summer that he came back, you saw Bakayoko, Drinkwater, Barkley, those players who hadn't been there the previous year, just in training, and we never saw them play. And if you think from then to what they're putting out now, obviously you had 30-odd players trying to get into a 25-man dressing room last season. So there's this constant flow of players coming in and out, experience going in and out. So at the moment, it's just all a bit of a mess. And
the worst thing as well, though, is they do have a good squad. That's the thing. They have a good squad, but it stops there because I don't even think Pochettino knows who actually wants to be in his squad as well. Like you look,
he doesn't even. I don't think he even knows his best lineup.
Yeah.
I think this year, honestly, Chelsea could finish the same position as last season, but have improved on last season. It feels mad to say that, but
this is a fact as well.
Insane.
It might not have been good football, but this is a fact. Tuchel still made 2 cup finals in that year alone. They shouldn't have sacked him.
At the end of the day, it's
It sounded like he'd lost the dressing room though at the time, and he'd argued too much with the board. Do you know what I mean? And we've seen that.
I'd argued with those delusional wankers as well.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm not saying he was wrong to argue with the board, but because it looks like a pattern for Tuchel, because he's done that at his last 2 jobs as well, it almost doesn't work in his favour. So it seems very easy to just cut him off.
That's the problem.
I disagreed with it.
That's a problem with football managers these days, though. When they actually physically stand up for themselves and they actually grieve their issues, like they make it aware of like generally what is the problem. The first thing to do is just get rid of the manager. Why not? If the manager is generally angry over a situation where they're asking for a certain player, or they're wanting specific back-ends when players are trying to take control, they side with the players. Why not just stand by your manager? Stand with if the manager's genuinely airing out, like, I have issues with these players. He didn't look at what Thomas Tuchel asked for in the summer as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't ask for 17 odd signings as well, which Graham Potter eventually got all the money spent on him. Thomas Tuchel only asked for a few players, and he asked for a new striker. That was it. Like, he asked for the bare minimum because he needed the bare minimum. I think there was genuinely so many issues there with Chelsea that they felt, Tuchel's too much. It's a fair point by Ant as well. Make it aware privately, not publicly in press conferences. Yeah, I agree with that. But it could be done privately. But I think Todd Bowley is that soft. Even if it was done privately, he would still get rid. And it was testament to that. He still got rid. Because let's be real, Chelsea have been shit since they got rid of Graham Potter. Not Graham Potter, sorry, Thomas Tuchel.
They have. And even then, I don't even think it's the manager that's causing the issues.
It's the players.
Like, we've already seen it with Pochettino. Like, Potter was thrown under the bus. We all saw that. It's happening time and time again.
If it happens to Pochettino as well, that is a shock. Because I'm not a massive fan of Pochettino. Everybody knows that. But I think he's a good manager. Like, I think he's a good manager if you want to get like a structure in place and actually work around a squad. But when you look at his job in question, he only needs to lose one or two players. Yeah, and that's it. He needs to keep certain players on side. So one of the obvious ones he can't lose. If he loses Thiago Silva, he's done. Like, that's the one player he can't afford to lose.
For me, lose Thiago Silva, he's gone. And similar to that as well, I think at the same time, you're talking relegation battle. It sounds insane to say, but comparing squad mentality, actual squad depth, togetherness of the players, the way that they're playing games, I don't see them being half.
I'm going to put this question out to you guys. I'm going to point out to the chat, right? Because this is genuinely quite weird. Have you ever seen a situation where a football owner has spent $1 billion in the space of 12 months, or a significant amount of money in 12 months, and your squad goes complete backwards? Have you ever seen that? Because me personally, I've never seen that.
Not to the financial extent, but I think about.
We've seen it a few times actually with certain teams this season. Like, you gotta chuck Burnley in there with the amount of money they've spent, but Chelsea take it for the money.
The weird thing about Burnley is, if I compare it to when Fulham or Villa came up and spent so much money, this summer seemed a lot more.
Fulham got it massively wrong as well.
Yeah,
but
I think Burnley they've regressed from what they had in the Championship. And if you play those two squads together,
no, I was gonna for this, not Moyes, because we didn't spend anything under Moyes. I was gonna say
technically we did, but it was nothing.
I feel, however, that Moyes inherited a really bad squad.
He inherited an aging squad, and he wanted to put certain players in that got so wrong.
The issue is, I was going to say Louis' first summer. I know the Glazers didn't spend the money the club did, but when you lose 3 of your first choice back 4 of like 6, 7, 8 years, Rio, Vidic, and Evra all leaving that summer, and you bring in Marcus Rojo, and then you ask Daley Blind to fill in as a left back or as a centre back over time. Do you see what I'm saying, though? It's like we spent quite a bit of money. We bought Di Maria, we got Falcao in, we got Amanda Herrera in,
I don't think we should realistically knock on Daley Blind, because when you look at Daley Blind...
No, I'm not knocking on him, but
he had the second best defence as well, which is crazy. He had the second best
defence.
I
know, but what I'm suggesting is, how do you lose Rio and Vidic, and you bring in Marcus Rojo, who played left back for Argentina at the World Cup that just happened.
That's true. No, that's not so.
And you don't replace 2 titans in the back 4. You know, you're asking Jones, Smalling, and Evans, who are all almost the bridesmaids to the brides that were Vidic and Ferdinand. And you're saying, can you look better.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? You see what I'm trying to get at here?
But that was also a management perspective as well. I mean, let's think about it. Like, yeah, United could make that discussion. Like, realistically, they could. And we can certainly bring United up on that one. When you look at, you mentioned that three of the back four, though. That's because United chose to alienate those three. Like, they alienated the three of them within, a few weeks? Space for a few weeks. First it was Ferdinand, then it was Vidic, then it was Evra. All the same reason. It was Woodward. Telling them, actually, no, it's 1 year or nothing. You could have kept Ferdinand another 2-3 years. Evra you could have kept for another 2 years because he was actually reliable left back. Obviously, you could phase
Evra
him
wanted
out.
to leave. Evra got a contract extension, but he had been asking to leave, and he was furious that.
Though. It was a mug-off extension he got offered, though. Let's be real.
Yeah, it was a 1-year extension, which he signed because I think it was a clause in the contract.
Yeah.
It was almost automatic, but he was furious because Woodward had almost promised him that he could get the move that summer. Ferdinand wanted to stay. He didn't get. He was told at the end of the season, "Yeah, we're not renewing your contract." Vidic retired. Vidic and Ferdinand both retired within 2 years, both of which having their own back problems.
Vidic made a big move as well. He went into Milan as well at a time when they were transitioning. That was the bigger loss. Out of the three of them, Vidic was the biggest loss out of them all. Not Ferdinand, not Evra. It was Vidic. Even though all three are very important players in Man United's like late 2000s squad into the early 2010s, Vidic was the biggest one out the three.
Yeah.
But again, that's ineptitude of poor decision making from top down, because the owners didn't give a shit who was making the transfer decisions. As long as they got their dividends at the end of the season, they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Woodward didn't know what he was doing, but he chose not to put anyone involved and said he was obsessed with Real Madrid's Galacticos policy. I mentioned it last week. That Galacticos policy could work at United if you actually had competency all the way through. But we don't need that type of policy. You just need competency top down. If you don't have it, you're fucked either way.
Yeah.
But in terms of like Keane's question about could United make that discussion, Højlund is only young and can prove me wrong, but I'm not convinced so far. Yeah, he's got a lot to do. And I've never once denied United don't spend money. It comes from us. It doesn't come from the owners. It comes from clubs generating revenue. But when you look at who's there in question making those decisions, they don't know their head from their arse when it comes to decision making, because you cannot allow a club like Atalanta, let's be real, Atalanta are nothing. They're the third biggest club out of that region behind Milan and Inter. But in terms of like a European standpoint, they're not a juggernaut. They're not a giant. They should not be dominating a circumstance that is a transfer negotiation over a club like United. Ajax, great history, great legacy. They should be dominating United when it comes to signing a player. It should be United dominating that. Do they? No. That's why the likes of Liverpool, Man City are categorically better when it comes to negotiating, because they will attack a transfer window. They will get a good fee that benefits them. Bayern are the exact same. Real Madrid, to a degree, are the exact same. If you want to win everything or be a serious contender and still achieve success, you need competency top down. And that's what you don't have from the ownership, who've allowed the stadium to fester, allows the training ground to waste, that allows players to continuously allow managers to be chopped up and spat out. You cannot have that, especially when you've got nobody as a middle ground between manager and player. That's our issue as well. Like that is a major issue. Although I did promise we'd speak about Leicester, so we will talk a little bit about Leicester. The question is, though, where do we begin? Because they've genuinely been playing some good football. The question
I'm impressed. I didn't expect them to be this good this soon.
Yeah.
But I've been impressed nonetheless. So I think keeping a hold of Dewsbury Hall was important because I think indeed he's staying surprised me a little bit. I thought he'd get a
I don't
move
think he's
personally
that good.
somewhere.
I
Yeah,
don't think
I'm
at the
not
start of
saying
the
he's that
season,
good, but I
No, he
thought
isn't.
he would move on.
I don't think he's that good. I think they've got good replacements there already to move him on. I just think his experience is valuable to stay, like, to get out the championship. I'll be surprised if he's there after they get out. If I was the Leicester owner, I'd sell Ndidi after you win the league. After you win the championship, just sell him.
He's got Leon written all over him. Let's be honest. I actually thought he'd go to Leon over the summer or someone like that. You know, Leon and Marseille signing washed-up Premier League players.
Yeah, this is a
they're-
great question from Kian, actually.
Well, Marseille are now managed by Gattuso, so I don't think the washed-up Prem players continues.
They got Aubameyang in the summer.
Yeah, I'm saying under Gattuso, I think that'll change.
No, of course, but I was expecting that kind of move in the summer anyway. So I don't know. That might still happen.
They
Who knows?
got rid of a genuinely good player and brought in Aubameyang. I mean, they deserve all the shit they get, the scum. Anyway, yeah, Keane's question. Do you reckon Vardy brings him back up, plays one more season in the Premier League and then retires? Or maybe
I think that the way that Maresca is actually managing him, sort of being this impact player off the bench, works really well. And he is still showing an effect.
Yeah.
It really depends. If he goes the way he's going at the moment, I think he probably will. Mm-hmm. But if he does end up getting a major injury, I can see him winning the championship for a second time and then retiring.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, he did. Yes, he did start against Blackburn. And if I'm not mistaken, he did get the goal. He did. Mm-hmm. But I can see the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho and Patson Daka sort of rotated. And even if they do sign another striker in the summer, it really does. It depends. It depends on what happens, because at the end of the day, one injury could see him retire at the end of this season. If he maintains it, one more year in the Premier League coming off the bench.
Maybe. It's possible. I mean, if you are to go out on a high like that, winning the championship, it is technically still a high because you are winning the league title. It wouldn't be a bad idea to just walk from that. It wouldn't be.
I will say as well on that fact, it is extremely rare for any club to win the championship twice. Unless they're about to join that club.
True.
And one thing I will say, I cannot see this happening.
No, I can't. I think Wednesday are in too much of a shit show for this to happen.
I agree.
There's more of a chance Jamie Vardy starts 38 Premier League matches next season than this.
At the end of the day, would you rather bench warm in the Premier League and be that impact player for a club you've been at for the last 10 years, won a Premier League title at, and where the fans love you, or go to an extremely toxic club, most likely in League One, there's going to be a revolving door of managers, probably going to be in the same situation as Reading when they go down, with potential threats of more points deductions and relegations. But it is your boyhood club who did reject you as a youngster.
I think if he looks past some kind of redemption arc with the club, whether it be for himself or helping the club progress, if he looks past it and calls it for what it is and looks at it objectively, he should be smart enough to say no to them, because, like we've said, they're in a shit show right now. And if I was a player, I wouldn't want to go there.
The only way I could actually see this happening is, well, there's pretty much two ways. A, if this won't happen, but Leicester bottling it and not going up. And B, if Chancery leaves tomorrow, they get competent owners in, inject a bit of money and stay up. Those are the only two scenarios I see it happening.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll definitely find out. And to be fair, one thing I'll say about Keane's question about Gattuso is, yeah, he's been to those clubs, but the one thing that does tell each one is if Gattuso doesn't believe he's going to get backed or they aren't going to show any signs of backing, he will go. Like, he will, whether it be through getting sacked or he just leaves. The Napoli one, for example, like they got rid of him after he fixed the club from Ancelotti, because Napoli fans did not like what Ancelotti did. Yeah, he was unlucky to miss out in the Champions League twice, but he did end a barren run where they didn't win a trophy. So he at least gave Napoli fans something to love. Valencia, or anybody that goes to Valencia, needs serious help.
I was going to say all the clubs he's managed are clubs in turmoil. Milan were in turmoil when he took over. Napoli were in some kind of turmoil when he took over. Valencia have been in turmoil for a long time. Marseille, you don't know what's going on with them. It's
Marseille just deserve to burn.
Yeah, I think
Marseille, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if Schalke get promoted back into the Bundesliga, I think he'll just end up there, to be honest, because they've been in turmoil for a while now as well.
I mean, I wish he was here. Personally, I wish he was over here. But, like, you could see him, like, he might end up in Germany. Who knows? I think he would be a very interesting addition to the Premier League. His press conferences are wild. The man's a psychopath. A lovable psychopath, but a psychopath.
Whatever club is a shit show when he's available, them. It could be Everton for all we know.
Absolutely. Long gone are the days of Valencia making consecutive Champions League finals, and long gone are the days of Valencia being an active Champions League contender. Until
I miss them.
No, to be fair though, we know why. It's because of Peter Lim. Like, he has completely ruined Valencia, and their fan base are not even going to games anymore. They hate that bastard. Gattuso at Everton. Nah, I mean,
comedy show.
I would hate to see Gattuso manage Everton. I really.
He makes sense though. He's almost like this. He's not like a Fireman Sam kind of character, but he's always going into clubs that are in some kind of turmoil. And I think he'll end up losing his hair, I think, very quickly, because I think he'll go into clubs, he will end up leaving, having done a decent job producing some kind of stability if he can. But it's going to take its toll on him because he's got his work cut out wherever he goes. So I've got nothing but respect for the man for taking on these difficult jobs when they come to him.
It's not just that though. He actually, the crazy thing is though, is he actually takes those jobs and he actually leaves the teams in better places.
Exactly.
And that's a wild thing. Like, he got Milan back into European contention regularly. He got them in a position to go and win trophies by building a young side, signing key players. He went to Napoli after Ancelotti got the boot. He wins a cup in his first season and he does well with them. It is madness what he can do. Gattuso is the manager, Jaap Stam assistant manager, Oliver Kahn, Roy Keane and Duncan Ferguson as part of his staff. I mean, to get Duncan Ferguson...
I want an all or nothing documentary for that. I want an all or nothing documentary on that.
Incredible.
Please.
That would be the scariest lineup of management of all time. It would be the scariest. Because...
Could I just add one more into there? Vincent Tan as owner.
No, I want respect. I don't want punishment. These are legends of the game, and Duncan Ferguson.
Duncan Ferguson.
Got to give them some respect. The thing is, though, the funny thing about it is, you get past one of them. So say you get past Duncan Ferguson's brutality, then you've got to come against Roy Keane, who will probably just set dogs on you. Then you've got Oliver Kahn, who's probably the scariest German I've ever seen. And one of my favorite
he's
German
upstairs. Kahn is upstairs.
No, he is. He's already been sacked from that position. Jaap Stam is just brilliant, but also a terrifier. And then you've got Gattuso, who will fucking chase you for days if you don't do as you're told. He will chase you and then probably annihilate you. He'll probably put his boots on and just beat the piss out of you. And I know I wanted them at Rangers, but we didn't get it. We bailed out at least. Where are we going to go next, lads?
Let's get the big elephant in the room out of the way. Let's get the VAR situation sorted.
Yeah, let's go. Get your comments in, guys. Get your questions in regarding this, because we are going to talk about Pigmal, or as I call them, parents maybe got out late. Parents maybe got out late. Because that's what Pigmal are. They got out late. This is... Easy, Jose.
I was thinking more like pissed guys messing our lives.
Pissed guys messing. Yeah, that's true. there is a lot to get in here because let's be fair. It's only an outrage when it happens to Liverpool. If it's to any other club, sweep under the carpet. That includes United, by the way. It's swept under the carpet. You changed the Champions League rules, screwing your rivals over Everton in 2006 when you won the Champions League in 2005. I mean, that is Scouse genius. I'll give them that. They changed the rules for that when they should have been in the UEFA Cup as it was at the time. You've then had Pigmo come out and openly apologise for a situation where a goal should have been given. Now, I've watched this back.
I mean, let's just say... Go on.
I didn't watch the game. I watched this back. I found it hilarious, but I do see why they've apologised. I'm going to start with Julio. The hitman is definitely no bringing any mafia with him. This isn't the Top Gear run-out episode. He knows what I'm talking about. They're not wearing tights to escape banks. He's not jumping in a fake Bentley.
That episode.
He's not jumping in a fake Bentley to run away from the Italian police, the Albanian police, but Italians were definitely on there on that day as well.
I love that episode.
But our resident Albanian is definitely going to bring some extreme controversy, perhaps. Let's go for it. What are you thinking? Where's your at? And also, goal or no goal for Luis Diaz? Let's go.
Goal for Diaz, in my opinion. Listen, I loved watching Klopp get miserable and Liverpool getting screwed over as much as the next man. But looking at it objectively as someone who has experience in refereeing and stuff, I've defended referees on this channel to a fair extent where I've said, listen, they need help, but at the same time, they're not exempt from criticism. Now, I've also said on this show that I love the fact that we're trying to take power away from VAR and the referees on field make a decision. However, they've done whilst I did say that they would make mistakes initially in trying to make amends and eventually look good in the future, they've done probably what we expected them to do, which was go completely the other way and take that almost too literally to the point where the referees make a terrible decision on pitch and they don't intervene when they're supposed to. I disagree with the need for Liverpool to come out with a statement like boo frickin' who. Everyone has something to complain about with VAR every week. You're not special. It's like you think it's like they think they've invented Pugmore statements now. Like Bournemouth should have been one of the first teams to use it a few years ago when they went down because of Aston Villa and the Sheffield United game where goal line technology stopped working and VAR just chose not to intervene.
Bearing in mind, we had the exact same and Chelsea made a statement. Cardiff Chelsea. We got fined.
Exactly. I mean,
disgusting.
I'm not going to go into Liverpool special treatment. I don't want to go into that. Really, realistically, I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I think that this was a situation where I think it's just ridiculous the fact that they're protecting referees to the point where they're not exposing what they're actually saying and we need to know as the public watching the game. We need to know what the thought process is. Reece, you were talking to Callum Stone about this the other week, weren't you? Even in terms of the Bayern penalty decision, and none of us had any idea what they were looking at or what was going on.
Yep. I was completely. I was the only one that came up and said it. Was like pretty much everyone else was trying to beat around the bush, and I was straight to the point. If you can't see what you're looking at, you don't give the penalty, you play on. We
weren't sure what we were looking at. Neither and even the commentators didn't know what we were looking at, even 5 minutes later. So I think that I've mentioned the United-Chelsea example regarding a penalty a couple of years ago, and the referee made comments to Maguire, I think, saying, I can't give it, controversy, etc., because we were apparently getting pens left, right, and centre at the time. My point is that they're protecting referees too much.
For that, by the way.
The fact of the matter is referees are being protected too much. Get your balls out, put them on the table, show us you got nothing to hide. Tell us,
fella.
Show us. Fella. When it's rugby, we know what's going on with the referees. Yeah. We know what they're saying. We know all that. Forget the fact that football players don't have as much respect for the referee and stuff. We do need that level of authority. I would 100% agree with that. But we need to know what the thought process is going on the pitch and in a room somewhere across the country. Because the fact of the matter is, shit like this is happening too often now, and the line has surely been crossed now.
At the end of the day, I would just like to bring this one thing in, and Julio's got a very, very good point about this. As much,
I've got something as well.
Go for it.
That's it right there.
Is it Doug's tweet?
No, Doug's tweet is good, but that's not it. I'm just waiting for it to come on screen.
Here, but here, by the way.
This is comment of the night.
Listen, referees need to get their ponchos, because right now they're in the splash zone of criticism and they're fully deserving of it. Do you know what I mean? I don't like abuse on referees, but they are not exempt from criticism, and this was appalling officiating at the weekend. How can you have 5-6 blokes looking around on the pitch, making a poor decision like that, and then you got a bunch of guys in a computer room across the country, across town even, because this was in London,
with better vision as well compared to what the
exactly,
have.
and they can look over it again and again, and they didn't change. What is this? Did they just think? Do you know? It's almost like they took their eye off the screen for a minute.
Yeah, it was just really stupid. Like, it's acting up. I've seen a lot of shit decisions, but I'm just saying this as well. We've all been screwed by VAR. Like, we've all been screwed, but yet only an uproar when it's from one club, which is really embarrassing. Just say that as a legit fact.
Very quickly before I go on to my point as well, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans trying to dig this out as a bad decision. Everyone knows my stance on those types of red card challenges.
Oh yeah,
studs up equals red card. So I completely agree with what Doug is saying there. And I'm sorry, but any Liverpool fan who tries to argue that that isn't a red card, you need to watch it again.
Yeah,
you cannot do that.
That's the fickle fans. Like, that's the fickle side of football. But I like the Doge one. I agree. Like, he tripped himself, which is quite weird. But yeah, so
the one where he gets sent off is a booking.
Yeah, so
but
can I play devil's advocate with the Jota situation? Because I agree that the first one is not a yellow card.
Yeah.
However, to go in stupidly like that, knowing you're on a yellow card anyway, I think Jota almost brought it on himself a little bit. I know it's terrible because obviously he's got a yellow card, and there's in the first place that isn't one, and there's a sense of injustice behind that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that once you got a yellow card, I think you still got to tread carefully whether you feel it was deserved or not. So I still think Jota's an idiot for getting himself sent off a little bit. It's a little bit unfair because the first one isn't, but you can kind of see my thought process because when he puts the second challenge in, he's already on a yellow and he knows it. So
you could also say to the fact as well that with the challenge he was making, he could try and like later on say, "Oh, but if I didn't get booked the first time, I'd still be on the pitch."
Yeah, of course, but I think that when you're making a challenge like that, do you know what I mean?
Saying if my mother had wheels, she'd be a bike. So
yeah, exactly. Like, that's clutching at straws.
It's a nonsense.
Yeah, I think it's like you're on a yellow card, whether you think it's injustice or not. You're still already on a yellow card. Just because it's not right in your head doesn't mean it doesn't stand.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You still get on with it, and you're making a stupid decision. It's almost like you made a stupid decision. I know it's like footballers and instances on the pitch, whatever, but I just think that I have little sympathy for Jota. Well, I have a bit of sympathy, but not too much because, like I said, you're already on a yellow card.
Red or no red, though, I'm saying this, and this is not pure bias because it's Liverpool, but red or no red, Spurs still deserve to win that game anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like,
that's why
even if the Diaz goal counts, like even if the Diaz goal was given, I still think Spurs were by far the better team. They've been the better team against every big team they've played this season so far. Like that's not even a joke. Every big team they've played so far this season, they've been better than, and they've actually beaten them, and they've proven it on the field. They beat Liverpool, they beat Arsenal, they beat United. Crazy thing is, they'll beat Chelsea. They could well beat Man City as well.
This is what I kind of find absolutely mad, and I don't get how this hasn't picked up at all.
Yeah,
by them saying they're only going to pick out the major wrong decisions, just goes to show how many mistakes are being made during these matches.
But do they?
But
the
there
thing is,
was
though,
clear error. That's the thing. There's clear error, and they're still not doing anything about it. That's where just the pure idiocy comes in, and you have to question
Exactly.
I think
what
you
was
need to,
going
I
on
think
in
you
the
need to think
room at
about it,
the
though.
time.
There's something you need to think about, though. And this is a genuine question. Last year, it was the FA was playing for Arsenal. Season before, the FA are playing for City. The season before, they're playing for City again. Then they're playing for Arsenal and City. And they're playing for Liverpool when Liverpool won the league. Who are they playing for this year? Because it ain't City. Like,
It's
let's be real.
literally-
It's not for City.
They're
It's
all
definitely not for
they're
Man
all
United.
blind mice. That's literally what it is.
I mean,
Like,
at the end of the day, I'm going back to what Julio's statement earlier, and as much as I will never like to bring rugby into it, it was exposed on Jack Makes Happy Hour podcast. Say Nigel Owens, for example, player expresses their thoughts on like a challenge or a decision he's made. Nigel Owens will go to them or any other rugby referee and physically explain the reason that he's made the decision and either why the player was wrong or how it's going on. So you did this, and this. You're going to get yellow cards into the sin bin for this reason. If you do it again, I will send you off.
But
Very
that's
simple
another
like that,
thing
being
we've seen,
completely
though.
transparent. Whereas with football, as Mike Dean has said it, Ben Foster exposed it all. Some of the referees, you ask him about a decision, why he's made it. Don't talk to me.
This is
Or
another thing
you
as well,
get the Carlo Ancelotti effect. Ask a referee a question, just get sent off.
and Jose Mourinho, you just voice record them.
Exactly.
With the referees,
another thing
it's
as well.
literally the lunatics running the asylum.
Look at this is another thing. This is for like we know because we've spoken about this numerous times on this podcast. Bruno Fernandes bitching.
Yeah.
But there's times where he generally goes over to a referee to discuss a situation and they think of it as he's coming over to just have a rant and he gets booked. Player reputation is another thing that's becoming a problem with referees where they're automatically assuming that a player's coming over to bitch at them when they're actually just coming over to ask like what is going on and you get booked for it. It's the same with so many teams in this league.
And
It seems
players.
that they cannot press them. Like you cannot ask a referee a rational question on the field now. But if you're a specific player for any team, specific player, immediately it's attacking the referee.
And then at the end of the day, you're straight in the book.
It's not just player reputation.
Yeah.
It's just not player reputation with
Referees are pussies.
It's not just they are, but it's not just with in terms of coming to speak to them. It's also in terms of decision making in the game. Like where did Casemiro get this reputation of?
I think he was trying to keep it down because I mean
I didn't see much
honest,
of Klopp. I didn't see much about Klopp, so I'm not entirely sure.
I think he should have gone mental because he could have made
he would have got fined.
Stance by getting fined for calling it out.
He's got the money. He's got the money.
He does.
Fucking do it.
He's got the money.
Do it. He should have done Neil Warnock against Chelsea. Pretty much say exactly what went wrong. Get fined.
Well, to be fair, Neil Warnock also had a Brexit bloody post-match interview. To this day, I still watch a few times, and it's fucking funny.
That was brilliant.
Do you know what's crazy though?
It's one of the funniest pressers I've ever seen. And Bruno's been made captain, which means he's allowed to push exactly.
Player reputation has been a problem for years, actually, in terms of decision making. Obviously, Casemiro got red cards last season that were questionable. But there's a video on YouTube.
Weekend, by the way, I'll say that he was lucky at the weekend. He
was lucky at the weekend. But even over the last even for years, that's been a problem. Like, there's a video on YouTube of this might be the worst example, but Sergio Ramos's El Clasico red cards. I'm pretty sure half of them aren't red cards.
No, they're all reds.
And no, a couple of them I've seen.
Sergio Ramos, every red is a fucking red to Ramos.
No,
he doesn't care.
Well, usually they are, but these ones they're not. There's either a player diving or it's. I'm convinced the referee's just seen it Sergio Ramos and just immediately assumed, yeah, he's off.
Well, I'll give him credit because he did get. There's two sending offs actually, funnily off in El Clasico where he actually got sent. He got sent off because Lionel Messi did dive. The people think Messi doesn't dive. He did dive twice against Ramos because he knew it was reputation, and he got him sent off.
There was a Neymar one, wasn't there, as well? At the Bernabeu.
Neymar one. Pepe got sent off for a challenge that never was on Samuel Eto'o.
But you think Ramos, Pepe, you think these players you think their reputation is, oh, they're going to hack everyone down. They're just they're just begging for red cards. So player reputation in games with referees making decisions is actually a problem. Referees can't look at things objectively, and it's a problem. It's a problem, and I just don't think we have the adequate personnel to look at things objectively and to take each game as it comes and each decision as it comes, and to be able to sit there and justify their decision.
Yeah. We are going to come on to Man United because Man United are actually have come up a few times. So I'll just answer this question, and then I disagree on Keane's comment because the fact he's named Rashford. I would sell Rashford in the summer.
In terms of this question, it's only the reactionary idiots, if I'm being brutally honest.
But it's genuinely a valid point, though, because it is a record. It's Man United's worst start to a season in 65 years. 4 defeats and 7 3 wins, and they've generally not been good wins either. Let's be real.
I swear we hear this kind of record every other year, though. That's the problem.
But that's not like. But that's becoming a consistent thing for a reason.
Yeah,
Like a genuine reason. I don't know what it is about this squad. It doesn't matter who manages them. That was me, by the way, using Josh's account because I'm replying from Josh's channel, so it's not actually Josh. Sorry, it's me. Well, I have to if I'm hosting. I need to be on his account, don't I?
you had me fooled.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point.
For God's sake.
It doesn't matter who you are in this squad. Certain things are allowed to happen. 1, players are allowed to run riot. 2, when you get given a new contract, immediately you down tools. Mm-hmm. Rashford's one of them. He's down tools since he's got his new contract, which really needs to turn around. Otherwise, it's not good enough. Like, that has to change. 3, the sheer lack of control the manager's got when it comes to his style is clear, because it's the same thing week in, week out, where if it's not certain players, the style changes. That shouldn't be the case with a manager. It should be style first and foremost every single time, no matter who plays. And 4, you can't escape leaks. Like, it seems to be another flaming leak every single week. More drama, more chaos. Like, even I can't escape, like invalidate validate who is actually elite now, because there's none there. Now, Keane's saying here, the squad is full of wasters. Rashford, Varane, Casemiro, and Haaland are the only ones worth keeping. Palestri, Amrabat, I'd keep Reguilon.
Our emergency left back loan signing.
Yeah.
Garnacho's one of them, if I haven't said Garnacho. Ahmad's there. He's got a bit of time to prove himself. Martinez. But the rest of them, I'm not sure. Mason Mount, you can't just get rid of Mason Mount straight away. I think he needs to show himself. I think he's okay. Fernandes just needs to cut out the bitching. No,
I do think, though, Fernandes will be gone very soon if he doesn't.
Potentially. Hannibal, yeah, maybe. Potentially, he's been okay. Mainu as well. He's coming back. Diallo was just injured. And the answer, no, not this, not like this. When it comes to injuries, nothing like that. But it doesn't matter who's injured, though. I'm saying this. The style of play shouldn't be compromised for injuries. We should be playing Ten Hag style of football by now. But we aren't.
I disagree slightly. Very slightly.
Can't, though. Well, because I'm going to give you 2 perfect examples. But, yeah, could I give you more than that? Yeah, no, I can definitely give you 2.
Okay.
You take out Mitoma, Evan Ferguson, Caicedo, Estupinan, Lewis Dunk, and you take out Steele out of that Brighton squad. You put Ansu Fati into the squad. You put Welbeck into that squad. You put Billy Gilmore into that starting lineup. You put whoever else they've got centre back. their other goalkeeper. Do Brighton style football change, Nathan?
No. It stays consistent right the way through.
You take out Jacob Ramsey, Ollie Watkins, Abu Diaby, Douglas Luiz.
I mean, at the end of the day, with
Eddie
Emery, we might see some tinkering with the formation, which we've seen at Villa many times this season.
But does their style change?
Emery's very adaptable. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
He can be very adaptable.
I didn't ask for adaptable. I said style. You take out those 5 players I mentioned. Does their style change?
Stays the same. Everyone's on the same page at the club.
Now I'm going to do this one once and for all. You take out Rashford. You take out Fernandes. You take out Casemiro, Varane, Martinez. You take out, well, technically you can take out Antony as well from the difference. That's 6 players. Does Manchester United's style change?
I will say yes, because there's a sense of panic there. There's a sense of pressure from the fans who I think sometimes they just need to... It's more the fair... Can I call them fair weather ones? I don't know.
Try. You can try.
It's more of a quality.
It's more of a quality
problem.
Yeah. The transparent ones who think, oh, we're in this crisis. We have to mix it up. And, oh, I don't trust these players. We're missing the star quality. Keep it the same. Just keep it with what you're doing. Let the players integrate with it. Because at the end of the day, how are they going to learn this system when you get these injuries and you adapt it for them? Which just causes you to regress even further and play to a style of play that these players won't be comfortable with playing in the future. Being, say, for example, oh, we've got all our key attacking players out. Let's just park the bus. They're going to lose confidence from that. And then you're just going to have, as we saw at the weekend, Crystal Palace steamroll through 1-0. Bosh.
Yeah, and I stand by this. Man United should have had the exact same lineup that played against Palace in midweek, the same lineup played at the weekend. Like, I would have kept the same team. The only difference is I can understand is putting Fernandes back in the side. But I would have kept the same team, but I would have had, my midfield would have been Casemiro, Hannibal, Bruno Fernandes. Not Fernandes, Casemiro, Mount, because it doesn't work. It's not that it's deliberate that it doesn't work. It's the manager's insisting that it works. It doesn't work. You can't have the same type of player playing beside each other. We're not Man City Centurions when you had Fernandinho, De Bruyne and David Silva playing amazing football as 2 twin tens with a number 6. We can't play that way. We don't play that way. You want to build from the back and play that type of football with fast transitions and direct play and want to build from the back? That's fine by me. That's fine. But we can't do it with 2 tens. When I'm saying, and I stand by it, my midfield, when we're fully fit to go, my midfield is Amrabat, Casemiro, Fernandes. Amrabat's my holding midfielder. I still stand by it. Because that's the midfielder that we need. Casemiro wants to play like a box-to-box midfielder. Play him like a box-to-box player. But my front three going forward for quite some time is Pellistri, Højlund, Garnacho. Because they actually gave a fuck in midweek. Did we get any of that at the weekend? No. Because it was totally different and it looked abysmal. Before we even discuss the performance, though, because we are going to talk about that performance because it needs to be dissected. Going to bring these comments up first. So I'll come to Doug very shortly. So this one first. Fucking behave. That one there from Hella. I'm more worried about injuries than anything else. Why was Leach playing when it was known that his foot hadn't healed? What the hell does our medical team what the hell does our medical team do to our players?
For me, this seems very much similar to Leicester when they got relegated last season, burning out their players, forcing them through too much, and we saw how that murdered them squad depth wise, and not only that as well, with the way they were just burning their players into the ground, not letting them recover properly, the physio staff, etc., which you could lead into the category of incompetence. The way that they did it just caused an injury list that was eye-watering, and it happened 3 seasons in a row, and eventually that does catch up to you, and we're seeing it United.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Julio, I'll get your response to that in a second, but I'm saying this. From Doug, I've said this for ages. United are an absolute shambles, if I'm being honest. I had a lot of United fans coming to me and saying I was bonkers calling Liverpool above Man United, all the things I said.
Yeah, that's what
It's pure facts.
I would happily listen to their point of view. Anyone who said that at the start of the season.
Things I said are happening in front of our eyes, so that was a follow-up. Leaking roof, it's been like that for a very long time. Very long time. And this is a fact. Casemiro is our top goal scorer. And that's a fact. Like, there's genuinely so many problems. It's toxic, it's deep-rooted, and there's no change in sight unless, I still say this, it all stems down from top to bottom, from the ownership all the way through. When you look at not having strong-minded people working with your manager in key important roles. So forget the Glazers don't spend all that rubbish, or just get the Glazers out, it's because they're not winning things. There's genuine reasons why Man United fans want them out. There are ones that are stupid saying us because we didn't do this or X, Y, Z in the transfer window. But there are other genuine fans who will tell you because they don't invest in the stadium, they let the stadium rot. They've not spent on the training ground, which is behind the likes of Liverpool, City, Tottenham, where they continuously take out money to the point that it actually has the club in a financial situation where there's constant debt. There's clubs in debt, but there's nothing like that. There's genuine issues there that explain why United fans want the Glazers out. The ones that are just stupid enough saying it's because we didn't sign fucking Neymar, we didn't sign Mbappe, or we didn't sign your granddad, or we didn't sign your brother's
Kane.
best pal, or we didn't sign Kane or anything like that. That's just transfer excuses. It's genuine reasons such as the dividends, the debt, the stadium letting to rot. I'm sorry, but how can you allow that? If this had been any other club, it would be, they'll be completely justify the decision. That's why you want them out. It seems to be a constant having a tirade about it, but it's genuine reasons. Yeah, Casemiro is genuinely our top goal scorer.
It's shocking. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely shocking. And I mean, leading back onto Old Trafford, I see so many of these fans going, "Oh, Old Trafford this, Old Trafford that. It's the best stadium in the Premier League and all that." Go there. Just go there.
Yeah.
See it for yourself.
This is what I've been crying out for.
Absolutely.
This is what I've been crying out for. I've literally been crying out for the club to genuinely get someone, because, let's be honest, Carrington is not fit for the women's team, who are Maisie will be able to confirm exactly where they're playing. I'm pretty sure it's up in Oldham area or something. It's mental. But Lee Sports Village for the Man United women's team is nowhere near Old Trafford. The women should be playing and training at the club.
More locally.
All of them together. The men's team, the women's team, the women's youth teams, the men's youth teams. They should all be playing and training at a proper
Can I just say, and I know I'm bringing my club into it yet again, right?
Go for it.
I genuinely think that Cardiff City, our women's team, isn't even a professional club.
Mm-hmm.
We have a better women's home stadium than Manchester United.
Low bar, though.
Do you want to know what we did last season?
Our environment is quality.
We qualified for the Women's Champions League. I will leave it there now. And getting back onto the Manchester United training ground situation, right? Look at Leicester's new training grounds in the Championship. Yep. Look at pretty much every single Premier League club that's there at the moment. Burnley, just Brighton. Yet when you look at Manchester United's training grounds, from above, it looks like an Asda's. How can you possibly say that is one of the premier training facilities for literally the biggest club in the UK?
Was in 2005.
What's mental is it used to be. It was ahead of the curve.
What are we now? 18 years later?
18 years
Nothing
later,
has been done to it. Maybe a new lick of paint last year, but that's it.
Genuinely, name me one Premier League club aside from, I'll chuck them in there, unfortunately, but Luton. I cannot see who has a better worse training ground than United.
What's the fact that you mentioned Championship side Leicester?
I haven't seen anything significant from Wolves. To be
Wolves
fair,
Wolves have got a very good training ground.
Bournemouth, don't know.
They're building a new one.
But that's fine. They're building.
They're in the process of upgrading their facilities, though. Bournemouth are upgrading their facilities as we speak.
That's the difference, though. That is process. That's not right now. The question
we're not seeing that. Yeah, but we're not even seeing process. That's the problem.
Ours is definitely a problem, and that's why I'm saying so if you come at myself or Julio, why do you want the Glazers out? My exact reasons are exactly what I've said. Situation with Old Trafford where it's been allowed to rot, and there's been no significant improvement on it. The training ground is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
They could potentially take money out, leaving the club further in debt, and they've got no interest in paying that back once they sell on anyway, because they're greedy fucking bastards. And 4, they've continuously allowed individuals who don't know what they're doing to run the club, and they're more interested in the PR side of it than the footballing side, but when the football side matters most. But that's my 5 reasons why I want them out. Not because we didn't fucking sign Neymar, or Neymar's sister, or Neymar's cousin, or his whole fucking family, or we didn't sign Mbappe. Nothing to do with that.
Hey, don't get into Neymar's family affairs. That's a whole can of worms you don't want to touch.
I don't.
In
care
my
if we
opinion,
sign,
I will say
we
that
sign the best players in the world. I want the best fucking facilities for the team to actually go and improve on. Allow players to actually fucking adapt.
Yeah.
Learn better, train better, work better.
Because at the end of the day,
allow everyone to be inclusive together.
yeah, sorry to jump in here, Reece, as well, but at the end of the day,
on you go.
With the Neymar, the Mbappes, we want Mbappe, we want Neymar, sort of the same that they're doing in Madrid. At the end of the day, you can develop these players with the facilities that you have, and the more you don't progress, the worse it's going to get for you guys in the future. And I think that the reason there's a lot of your fan base calling that out is because of an oversaturation, in particular between the 90s and the 2000s. The fact that you're getting all of this success really does spoil. Yeah, you could call it like that. Spoil the fan base. We've seen it with so many different clubs.
I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
I was proud to say that I had a lot of success growing up as with United and all that. I'm proud to say that. But the difference is though, is at least I was still clear in the bigger picture.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of the fans aren't looking to, and that's why you could say there's not why Manchester United isn't being united off the pitch. Is because these fans are not realising, like, 1 minute they'll say, Glazers out, and no offence to it, but I got to make this joke, but hold up the Norwich scarves. But at the end of the day, they're the same people who will chant, like, why haven't we signed Mbappe? Basically, copying what Real Madrid's doing.
Depending on what happens.
Absolutely like that.
In fairness,
but
Reece,
to be fair, this is a valid comment, right? But there's one other thing that I just want to say. Obviously, so Keane's just said, I want Margot Robbie to love me. Pointless asking for it, though. A lot of football fans, not just United fans, need a sense of perspective. We're not Real Madrid. We can't just orgasm money. Man United are the biggest generated revenue club in the Premier League, though. And the second, not stand corrected, the third highest generated revenue club in the world behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. We generate nearly £800 million worth of revenue. So there's genuinely an issue there. Look at Liverpool's revenue. Liverpool generate a lot of good money. But it's genuinely an issue when United generate all this money and you cannot spend on you're not spending on what really needs to be improved upon. It's just going where?
This is the difference, though, with Manchester United with other clubs. If you put it into perspective with the amount that is coming in, invest in it. If you invest it correctly and there's actually some footballing knowledge go on there, FFP, you could literally chuck out of the window.
Absolutely.
That's the difference that you get. In particular, say, for example, if you have massive investment from further down the table, Wolves is the biggest example to this.
Exactly.
Look at the way they've invested off the pitch, done one pretty much redeveloping Molineux. They've done phase 1 of it, built a new training ground. But because of loss of European football, the FFP has got caught up to them. If you swap between what Wolves have done to what Man United have done, Man United, they would completely have FFP out the window.
Yeah, we're not getting touched.
Yeah.
End of the day, we won't get touched at all. And that's the thing. And that's the significance of it, is just that alone. And I'm like, that's what annoys me. A club like Man United shouldn't be getting hit by FFP. With all that revenue, you just physically shouldn't be. It's the same with Real Madrid. Same with Barcelona. But Barcelona, we know the difference between them, Real Madrid and Man United. Barcelona are fucking stupid when it comes to handling money, especially when it comes to their wage bracket. 250 million euros is their wage cap as of this season. That is abysmal. That is how bad they are. Where are they putting all that money? Cancelo's arse. Like, genuinely, it's so bad. It is so bad. But you know what? I'm like, to be fair, I'm not even just going to talk about the game. I'm just going to say this. Fair play Palace at the weekend, because Palace did exactly what they didn't do in the first game. Palace did what they didn't do in the first game, and that was attack United properly. It was a lucky goal. Let's be real. It was a lucky goal from Joachim Andersen. A beautiful finish, though. But it was lucky. The fact is, it was a leaping header back. I think it was from Højlund, where the ball was coming. He's tried to defend it, and he's leaped it, and instead of heading it forward or heading it outwards, he's headed it behind him, thinking a player's going to get to it. It lands at Anderson's feet, and it's in the top corner. Great goal. But it's genuinely that circumstance of Palace to get it. United didn't create anything as well, meaningful throughout the whole game. There was no cohesion. There was no look to transition upfield. Rashford again was non-existent. Højlund wasn't getting served through the field. Fernandes didn't deliver any good pass at all. He was a complete ghost. Again, Amrabat was all over the field when we needed him at left back. Again, he should be in the midfield, but he was trying to get away with what he did at midweek where it worked. This time he got caught. Palestri was nowhere to be found either. So many negatives, but yet, is there any positives? So United setback at Palace. Julio, your thoughts? Be as negative as you want, or be as whatever you want to say, mate. You've got the floor.
I'm thinking. I mean,
Roy Hodgson will be 77 by then.
No, mate, he will have retired at least 5 more times. I think I agree with what you said regarding the style of play and with the coaching, and I think it comes down to like there's problems all over the gaff.
There is.
It feels like what I'm watching is last season we didn't. You saw what it was like towards the end of the season. We were almost relying on how we used to play under Oli, under Jose, even points under Louis, even under Moyes. And because we've become so accustomed to that, Ten Hag is trying to get us out of that now into what he wants. We're in some chasm between how we've been used to playing for years and what we want to be. Yep. Like our midfield looks really unbalanced at the moment. Because we're trying to be more expansive, our defense just almost seems to have forgotten the basics, and we're just getting cut open so easily sometimes.
Yep.
Our forward line doesn't have the quality at the moment because players are either not ready, not available, or not in form. You know, I don't put any criticism on Onana regarding the goalkeeping because we got the goalkeeper's good with his feet, but I just think you can't put blame on him for the defense getting cut open so easily like we saw against Brighton. And I think part of it comes down with the fact that like this coaching that we're supposed to be getting is happening with a game every 3 days again, and that's including pre-season. Couple that with like the hangover from last season and the travel in the summer and the amount of games we had in the summer. Like, put it this way, if Ten Hag had a full week of training, for example, I don't think it'd be this bad. But literally, ever since Ten Hag's come in, it's almost like we're seeing a game every 3 days. And like, even if he had 2 or 3 days of proper practice of implementing his style, it wouldn't be that bad. It wouldn't be looking as bad.
Oh,
and it comes down to a lot of things. Like,
sorry to cut on you there. Just an update. This has come from Gaston Edul. I'm assuming he's Argentinian. He's saying Lisandro Martinez's surgery went well. He's now in recovery.
Fantastic. But why was he in a position to be in that again?
And also, there is a little thing there about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos saying they're considering.
I saw that. Minority stake, Glazers control. I don't want to go into it because, to be honest, Reece, you and I are both on the same page with this. We don't want to entertain takeover talk unless it's either from, unless it's big news that we all hear about, or it's like, from a credible source in finance or business. But I think that back to United, obviously, the scheduling and travel of the preseason, I think, is down to the club. So many games, so many travel, and not enough players available, not enough Preseason is supposed to be implementing your style of play, but it seems that the club have made it all about let's go here. And yet the one place that they would have, it's funny how the Glazers are based in Florida, and the best place that they could have done any sort of marketing is with Adidas, with Inter Miami, with Messi over the summer. But they know that United fans in Florida is a dangerous game. Now, our recruitment since Ten Hag's come in, I think.
Well, not down in Miami on the South Beach. The South Beach, they're fine.
Yeah, but they're going to be United fans going to try and talk. United fans are going to try and find them and be like, I just want to talk to Big Avram. Just want to talk to him, as he gets his baseball out. But our recruitment's been 5 out of 10, I think, at best since Ten Hag has come in. But there's still more work incoming and outgoings, like Ralph Rangnick said. You want 10 new players maybe coming in, and then you've got to get rid of the deadwood, and then you probably got to replace those as well.
If I'm Ten Hag personally, I'm apologising to Ralph Rangnick for being an idiot and saying I'm sorry I didn't keep you. He should have been our director of football.
He should.
To be honest, Paul Mitchell's just left Monaco, so having Paul Mitchell and Ralph Rangnick upstairs above Ten Hag would have been perfect, because I think the problem is
sometimes when you keep John Myrtle, who has nothing but a Myrtle match.
But that's what I mean. It comes from adequate boardroom level decisions. I think if I respect Ten Hag and what he wants. He has an idea of what he wants to play, but I think we need an adequate board that's good enough to recruit for him or with him, as opposed to let him choose. Because I think
he's got a lot of control on decisions for transfers, and that's becoming a problem.
Let me give an example. For example, let's say FFP wasn't a problem this summer because the Glazers weren't as bad spending the last few seasons as they have been. Okay,
go on.
Onana, Mount, Højlund are permanent signings of the summer. Okay. Just the 3 main ones. Think for a minute, maybe a different board would have probably said, no Mount, we respect Højlund, but we can't get 2 strikers, so we need someone proven. Let's say, for example, if we got Kane, De Jong, and Onana. I know this
might sound mad, but I think a competent board turns out and goes to him, okay, we get you want Onana, but he's also had some very conflicting issues over the past couple of years. He might not work in the league. He might not work.
Okay, maybe a different goalkeeper then.
Yeah, but still, just hear me out on that.
You see my point, though. You see what I'm saying? Like maybe we don't look as lacking in quality in that midfield, in that forward line, in our midfield.
And then the competent board say, we're not going to get you Andre Onana. We're not going to spend the 40 million to get Onana, because we're going to use that money elsewhere for you in different areas. What we're going to do is we're going to go and get you Jan Sommer on a free. Now, personally, I don't think Jan Sommer is that type of goalkeeper he would have wanted, but he's an assured goalkeeper who commands his area, and he does really well. He does.
Yeah.
You've then got decision where he's got Mason Mount, okay, but then the competent board goes and says, actually, there's another English midfielder who's actually just as good, if not better, and he will play that attacking role if you want to play Fernandes deeper. Let's go to Leicester and let's sign James Maddison, because that ideally could have happened as well. Let's be real. You've then got the other added factor of the striker, where he goes, okay, do you want a young striker to build around, or do you want experience? I'd like a bit of both. Okay, sure. Quick phone call to Porto. We want Mehdi Taremi, 29 years old, 20 million, give or take. Or you have a quick call to Werder Bremen before he goes to Dortmund. Yeah, we want Nikola Füllkrug. There you go, reliable goal scorer.
I actually thought for a moment you were going to suggest Marcus Thuram, actually.
No, that's
on a free transfer.
But that's Mönchengladbach. But then you've also got, okay, but then you turn around and go, okay, so you've got an experienced striker there. So you can build a team with a lot of experience in there, but you've still got a chance to add a younger striker. Do you still want Rasmus Højlund, or we'll spend the 60 million and we'll sign Randall Kolo-Muani, who's now at PSG, who's actually done very well at PSG since he's went there?
I'm still not convinced by him personally, but I see what you're saying.
Obviously the money's
because that's a younger striker.
The money's big on him, but that's the point.
Yeah,
but he's already at least playing at top level more frequently than Rasmus Højlund. Højlund's a good striker, but there's all about that tangibles where we've spent so much money on Rasmus Højlund, that he has got no chance of success. He has no chance. It's been taken from him. Because let's be real, he's a £40 million striker at best. 45 million, right?
Yeah.
We've spent 80 million on him, where he cannot have a season where he has to learn to adapt. He has to adapt within 6 months. He has to adapt between 6 to 9 months, where he has to score pretty much 20 goals. If he doesn't score 20 goals this year, he is going to get pelters from the media.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his fault? No. Is that the Man United board's fault in the negotiating team? 100%.
Yes.
This is the problem. But that is
It comes from the
problem.
board.
That's what I hate
It comes from board. It comes from the owners. It comes all the way down. So
because I've got the Man United mindset of old. I still adopt the old mindset that should still be there. I hate the fact that we've got a lot there. You know what's even funny? And I'm saying this. Like, I mentioned Fulkrug. People are going to laugh that because Reece is just saying it's a German. But yeah, I'm talking about the German number 9 here. Oh, Reece mentioned Randall Cole Moani, but it's from the Bundesliga. Yeah, but who else wanted him and got him? PSG. Oh, but
even
Reece said
Goncalo
Jan's-
Ramos.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after his World Cup as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think.
Look, Reece said Jan Sommer because he left Bayern Munich on a free. Yeah, Bayern Munich when they won the league, now he's playing for Inter Milan and he's replaced Onana comfortably. I'm like, it's tangibles. Like, it's tangibles.
We've seen boards do that. We've seen boards do that. Klopp wanted Draxler, and then the board said, no, we'll give you Salah. And look how that turned out.
Even my dad, a Man City fan, said Man United should have got Nicola Fulkrug. That's a City fan. And I fucking love Fulkrug. He's been brilliant since he's joined the German team. It's a shame that he's injured at Dortmund. He got his last big move because he's turned 30. It's a shame that he's injured because he's such a quality player. Like Benjamin Šeško as well. I could have signed Benjamin Šeško for 20 million. Like, here's the humour. Like, all these big money mistakes. And Højlund, unfortunately, is a mistake. It's not a mistake because he's a bad player. It's a mistake that he has to adapt quickly. And if he doesn't get 20, 25 goals a season for the rest of his life at Man United until whenever he leaves or whatever, he's fucked.
And then you couple that with we're in a position to sell to buy. We wanted a centre back, but we had to sell first. But we couldn't sell.
Which is embarrassing.
Therefore, we couldn't improve at the back. So I think that Ten Hag and what he wants is still a little bit handicapped. We could finish 7th this season, and still, but a style of play could be more suited to what Ten Hag wants. Do you know, we could finish 7th, but our play style improves on what it was last season. I know it sounds crazy.
That's true. Let's go on. That's the thing. Look at we mugged him on this podcast for a couple of years, but we've done it for the right reasons. We mugged Mikel Arteta for quite some time for finishing 8th.
Yeah,
but he was finishing 8th, playing with a style of play. Like, that's actually the worst thing. We were mugging a guy that was actually implementing a team and a style.
And obviously, with Arteta as well, in hindsight, that was going to take time considering what they were developing, and Arsenal were in their banter era at the time.
And look,
the thing is, the first year and a half, not a lot of money was spent, obviously. But when you're relying on David Luiz and Willian on frees and whatever, and then eventually, he eventually spends that 100 or so million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The style of play has been implemented, so you've got the holes ready to put the pegs in, and you've got the right pegs. Obviously, I mean, say what you want about Ramsdale and how Raya is better than him now, but
easily.
But Ramsdale was almost better for that lineup than Leno was, in a way. Leno was still a very competent shot stopper, but you can see what I mean. There was a process there. There was an idea.
Yep.
Ben White came in. Thomas Partey came in. Well, he came in the year before, but you see what I'm saying. Jesus eventually came in. Zinchenko came in. Players of the mould that were needed, that were
and yet they were still consistently playing the two key players to that team on the wings that have benefited that team in Saka and Martinelli. They have been allowed to, even though they've been overplayed, they have been able to develop those two. Saka's a brilliant winger, but obviously he will at some point need to be rotated. Martinelli is a good player, but he can be a bit hot and cold. But look at what he's got behind him. If necessary, he's got Emil Smith-Rowe, who I think is a fantastic player. Let's say Leandro Trossard is still there. Quality player. Nketiah will run Jesus as far as possible. Although I do think Fuller and Balogun is a bit unlucky. I think he could have been really good in this Arsenal team. Now, Saka's got potentially Havertz, even though he's been playing well. But when you look at them, like even Odegaard,
they're more like the finished article now. We're nowhere near that. We spent so much money, and we're nowhere near that. And the good thing about Arsenal's board at the time was, like, the defense they had when he first came in: Socrates, Mustafi, David Luiz, Kolasinac. They basically just turned around and went, right, I know we spent money on some of these players, but sack all that off now. It doesn't matter. Cut our losses, get rid of them, just invest in the quality that we need, because these players just, like, there's nothing wrong with playing out for the back. The problem is you're trying to play out from the back with David Luiz and Socrates and Mustafi, and they can't play in general. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't play in general at the time. So Socrates
plays in a transitional team, like a pressing transitional team, because that's what he's good at. David Luiz is if you have two defenders,
back three.
He's more successful in the back
either
three.
A back three or even as a holding midfielder in midfield. And then Mustafi, I don't know what happened to him since he left Valencia, but Jesus Christ! But you see the point.
Yeah, I do.
They invest early on Saliba. They bring in Ben White. They bring in Gabriel. And like you said with the wingers had time into that style of play, and that's what these players need. Like Garnacho, Pellistri, we've kind of got two ready-made players in some way with Anthony. We had Sancho, God knows what's happening there, and Rashford, players who you would have considered maybe bigger proven names, but at the minute they're not proven for different reasons. Anthony is hot and cold a little bit. Sancho is nowhere to be seen right now. Rashford's not in form. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not great. But I think that if I would take an 8th place finish at the moment, if it meant that the Glazers left at the end of the season, and if Ten Hag's style of play was properly implemented, so then he could really suss out the deadwood that needs to go, because there's still a lot of deadwood in there. You can't tell me Scott McTominay is the answer off the bench for United, because he's not. He's a good player, but
there's good young midfielders there in Hannibal and like Kobe Mino you can build around.
But competent on the ball.
Yeah. You can build around that. But it feels like it's more like just deliberately trying to just get, obviously you want to get results and all that, but it's results not playing good football. At the end of the day, like, if he wants this squad to work, he needs to get them playing his style of play that is actually good enough that is good enough and will be effective. If not, he will be gone. And somebody else will just come in. And I'm sick of just rinse repeat managers.
And the thing is, as you've just said, Reece, it's just going to be the same again and again and again, unless the mentality situation is sorted out from the top.
Yeah. Once it's sorted out from the top, the one thing that the genuine humour is as well, eventually once the Glazers sell, new owners come in, they put people in that they want to run the club with the manager. The players who have got the mentality to just sink or will just gladly throw the manager under the bus, their days are numbered. Like, their days are genuinely numbered. They will continue to get the odd minute, but the minute change happens, they'll be sold or their contracts will just be ripped up. And if anything, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that day to see the lot of them suffer, because they have done it numerous times, and I am not defending a certain portion of that squad anymore because they're just absolute idiots. I'm only going to defend the ones that actually want to work. Hannibal came in the game on Tuesday, by the way. He made 100 presses in one game. Like, that doesn't happen to anyone else in our team. Like, that says a lot. 100 presses against Palace. Garnacho, press like mad. Pellistri, pressing like mad. Those three I'm keeping on the side. Players that actually want to work for you, are the ones that you should be starting, not players that are just going to do absolute jack shit. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, look at those 3 clubs and look at you could say less so much for Liverpool, but look at the philosophy that has been implemented consistently throughout their tenure. And even then, I found this on the... Thank you, Siri. Working through some of the others that are coming through as well. You could also add the continuity between De Zerbi and also Graham Potter at Brighton. You can add Steve Cooper into the mix now as well. And you'll similarly get these clubs who are consistently putting out, even if there's a manager change in this, never usually sacks, but they stick to a philosophy, get to it, turn over players sensibly, and reinvest well.
Yeah.
And look at the rest of the teams. Man United in particular, it hasn't happened. And it won't happen unless those changes are made up the top. Brentford's and mainly your Forests are the main ones to look at.
Exactly. We went from a fast-paced team that can play multiple different ways under Sir Alex Ferguson, but still win playing good football. At times playing difficult football, but still getting a result. To David Moyes, who suggested that Vidic and Ferdinand should play like Phil Jagielka.
Yeah.
He lost in that day when he made that comment. But that was defensive, turgid football. Then we went to Van Gaal, who deserved a little bit longer, but his possession style of play, it was taken away. It was too turgid when he could have allowed us to play possession football and still attack more if he allowed it to happen. But he chose to make it turgid and more control and less opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
Van Gaal goes after he wins the FA Cup. We go to Mourinho, who is a similar way of organised, compact, counter-attacking football with results. To then bring in Solskjaer, which was at times good football, and then it started off really good football, free-flowing, fast-paced, aggressive football. Got the permanent job, and then it just completely changed, and it ended up an absolute failure. Rangnick was never going to succeed because Rangnick was an interim manager. His style of play meant the players had to physically work.
Yeah.
Did they work? No.
Laziness.
Exactly. And now we're in a situation where Ten Hag is another one where he wants his players to work a certain style of play. At times they'll do it, but you're not seeing it consistently enough. And he'll be the one to suffer as well. So it's a long, barren cycle of going from one style to the next when it should be whoever replaces Ten Hag, if he ends up going, it has to be the same style. You can't just go back to counter-attacking football. Like if we go from Ten Hag style, it needs to go from aggression. Like if we move from Ten Hag, the manager I want next is Hansi Flick. Even though he didn't succeed with Germany, the reason I would take Hansi Flick is it's an organised system, but it's consistently attacking football and it's aggressive pressing. His Bayern team was a perfect example of that. They were aggressive to play against. And look at the teams they smashed. True. I admittedly don't watch a lot of United, surprise, but they could benefit from more aggressive style of play again. They have the pace to play attacking football. Yeah, we do. We do. I don't know why Ten Hag is so insistent on not allowing us to do it. I don't know. I think he could. His style of play at Ajax the second time was aggressive, direct, transitional football. And yet we're not doing it. So it does worry me about what our next trajectory is. I don't want the Ten Hag to get sacked, but I definitely want Ten Hag to learn from his mistakes.
I think the key issue, since Sir Alex left, every manager we've had has a different job on their hands. Mm-hmm. Completely different job title, if you think about it. Moyes was supposed to come in, oversee a transition, maybe maintain some form of success under Sir Alex that we saw under Sir Alex, but maintain that going forward, maybe a transition. Louis came in, he was asked to strip it all up and completely rebuild a new team, but not with the adequacies needed to do that. Maybe Ten Hag has got it a bit better now than when we had them, but it's not much better. Then Jose was brought in, try and win with scraps, which he did, but then...
called head coach.
But it was papered over the cracks of how bad the squad really was. Like he won 2 trophies, 3 if you want to count the Community Shield, and then finished second with that squad, and the Glazers didn't invest. And then when Ollie comes in, he was almost like bring Manchester United back to what they used to be in terms of the culture and all that. And one of Solskjaer's comments, which people bring against him to this day, was the whole trophies are for egos thing. And I think people will take that too literally, but I think that Ollie knew that if he won trophies as much as he wanted to, he knew that it would paper over the cracks of what's really wrong at the club. Like he finished second and reached the Europa League final. If it wasn't for Ronaldo almost going to City, I don't think we would have A, signed another striker, but B, signed a holding midfielder, which we needed at the time. Do you know what I mean? And because Ollie wanted to take us into more of an expansive style of play, but he couldn't, not with Matic playing every other week and Pogba or McTominay and Fred, because they're not the adequate. Do you know what I mean? So, and now Ten Hag's come in. It's almost like we are going to the rebuild we said we probably have under Louis with a philosophy and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We want that, but we're giving you a bit more because Louis comes in and there's a mix of his philosophy with a Galacticos approach. So he's sitting there saying at centre back, I want Hummels and Ramos to replace Ferdinand and Vidic. And the board go, right, we're going to sell Johnny Evans. We're going to bring in Marcus Rojo. We're going to tell Daley Blind to put a shift in as good as he was.
Yep.
But you see what I mean? There was loads of frailties, etc. And I think that what Ten Hag said, the job Ten Hag's got in his hands, he's working hard. And what he's doing is he's trying to rip up the bad culture that's been in that dressing room for years. And people don't like it. And the board need to stick with him as much as possible for years if it takes that long, because that way it sets in, it's my way or the highway. You don't like it, go. And then eventually Ten Hag could only take us as far as finishing fourth consecutively for a few years, right? And with an element of trophies and success. But by then, this is assuming his style of play set in, he's got the culture, what he wants, and etc. Do you know what I mean? With minimal spending, granted. Similar to what Pochettino had at Spurs in a way, if you see what I mean, stability, a good process. People thought if they spent more or whatever, but there was a culture at Spurs. It was a nice culture in the dressing room, because the culture we'd seen at Spurs before, for example, was managers getting sacked every year and a half, 2 years. You've got former players like Jamie O'Hara and Talksport laughing about managers coming in and banning foods and McDonald's and something. And you think to yourself, this is why you never made it good in your career. Because stuff like that, there was a bad culture in your dressing room. And the likes of Berbatov, Bale, Modric, etc., those who went on and had stellar careers, didn't succumb like you lot did. It's a poor arrogance, a poor mentality. And I think we will see, if Ten Hag stays for a few years and the board is back his decision no matter what. Like, for example, people will criticize Ten Hag for his comments about players who are in some kind of controversy outside of the footballing reasons. Ten Hag is solely there, no bullshit, no looking after, no soap operas, nothing. He's just looking at everything from a football perspective. And he has to be careful with his comments. Can you imagine if he said, for example, bin off Greenwood and the club went, but we're bringing him back. So how's that going to look, for example? Of course, he's going to come out in a press conference if someone questions him about it every 3 days. He's going to say, the club is doing their job, but I think he's a good player. Because he was a good player. That's not condoning what he did, but Ten Hag is only there for footballing reasons. It should be the club. It's why it's why people, like he's always said for Mark Overmars, for example, we hope he can work again or whatever, something along those lines. Ten Hag wants nothing to do with the soap operas. He's just there for footballing reasons. One of Thomas Tuchel's complaints about PSG was it was literally a soap opera. Like when you've got the likes of Mauro Icardi and whatever love affairs going on with him and Wanda Nara. Yeah. Like imagine being the manager and you're being told instead of coach to manage the actual players. Like Ten Hag's not here for that. Ten Hag is not going to talk about any investigations, anything. He's saying the club's going to do their thing. He's not going to come out and say, I don't condone what they did or whatever. That's probably how he feels. Yep. But in his defense, he's only in press conferences for footballing reasons. And he will look at everything from a football point of view. So if the club bring players back that shouldn't be there, if the club make the wrong decisions, if the club kept Ronaldo, for example, after that interview, if the club didn't suspend Sancho or Anthony or whatever, that's on the club. That's not on Ten Hag. Ten Hag's not sitting there going, the Sancho things are different. It's a little different actually, because the Sancho situation is undermining the manager's authority a little bit. And
Yes.
I'm fed up of seeing people who I respect on Twitter actually trying to compare the two when they're two different situations. One is like an investigation by Greater Manchester Police and police in Brazil and everything, and the player's trying to cooperate. So it's good. It's right for the club to suspend him and take him out of the firing line. But when it's a player going on Instagram, bitching on Instagram about being scapegoated or whatever,
and then going on Twitch until like 3-4 in the morning. I know
what exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. As much as I respect the person who tweeted that, I love that person. I love their content.
I've got very little respect for that person now. I have very little.
That tweet disappointed me, because the fact of the matter is they're two different situations, and I even relayed it to this person.
And also remember that person turned their comments off because they knew exactly what they were doing. I think Nathan knows what tweet I'm talking about now.
I think because my point of view was simply like, this is different. Anthony getting involved in some domestic violence or whatever outside the football club, that's not to do with Ten Hag. That's not Ten Hag's daughter, for example. It's got nothing to do with Ten Hag. Whereas Sancho's situation is undermining the manager's authority. And the manager's gone out of his way to support Sancho and to help him. And Sancho is still not pulling up trees, and he's still not doing much good for him. So Ten Hag going, right, sack him off or suspend him or whatever. Because one bad apple in the dressing room, in training and stuff, is bad. We've all heard the phrase about one moldy apple in a crate full of apples, it makes the rest of them go bad. Right? Do you know what I mean? So it's a real shame, but Ten Hag is just sitting there from a football perspective, and he knows these are my standards. This is how it's going to go down. It's my way or the highway. If you don't like it, then call your agents, complain all you want. And the thing is, what Ten Hag said about Sancho wasn't that bad, but then Ten Hag literally called out Garnacho last week and did it previously last season as well. If we're looking at this, so does that mean Garnacho was scapegoated and harassed and abused or whatever? No, it doesn't. Garnacho took that advice, took that into consideration because he wasn't good enough. And he came back and he's now doing all right. And now we're thinking to ourselves, okay, I've got to stop for that because
I mean, to be fair, that season they did change the rules. After they won it, they did change the rules to
Jesus Christ, man.
defend it.
And they improved camera angles as well.
I know. They did a lot too.
But you see my point regarding Ten Hag. Ten Hag's got a big job on his hands. Yeah. He's having to rip. There's a bad culture that's been there for 10 years almost, and he's trying to rip it up and set a new set of high standards. Okay? The fans on Twitter who want him gone are very impatient, and it's going to be the same problem. It's going to be the problem, say, all over again. So, what I will say is, Ten Hag, he isn't exempt from criticism. Let's have it right. He isn't exempt from criticism. He has had his flaws. For example, I would say with the recruitment policy, the thing is, Pep Guardiola came into City, brought in the likes of Nolito, for example. Nolito was gone within a year. Wasn't adequate enough for the Premier League. Good technical footballer, and you feel bad for him to an extent, but he learned, the board learned from that and adapted their policy. They looked for more physical players. They looked for players who were still good physically. We don't have the board to do that. We just have a board that go, no dickheads, please, or Ten Hag, you know what you're doing. Find someone we like. So exactly, there are more players that need to go before Ten Hag.
But the thing is, though, as a manager, will always be more expendable than players because players combine more value than the manager, which is
not if the board. The thing is, the board right now, I think the board right now know that with the ownership situation and stuff, their hands are tied behind their back. If it was if say the Qataris had taken over right now, okay, they would have probably instructed a full rebuild, cut the losses, spent money for what Ten Hag wants. Yeah. This is I'm not, there's so many different scenarios. For example, Qataris could come in and go, we want Zidane and we want a Galacticos. Do you know what I mean?
It would actually work, but the thing is, though, it would work under him.
Yeah, we said that. Was it last week we said this, Reece? We had that conversation.
Yeah, I said it last week when you said that the Galacticos wouldn't work at Man United. I said it would. I said it would work because if you have
It wouldn't work
competency-
without a good board to do it.
If you have competency and you are willing to spend on it, and you know you're going to have the facilities and what else around you, it does work. It doesn't work if it's no competency. Without competency, Galacticos doesn't work. That's why Real Madrid failed the first time. The second time, they succeeded.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's
all in all, Ten Hag's got a big job, and I think the board know that there are more players that are issued than the manager, and I think that whilst I don't like the board giving Ten Hag as much power in terms of recruitment, I think there is an element of, if it takes us 5 years with this manager to succeed, we'll do it because he knows we like him, we like what he's about. We need that.
Yeah.
We'd sooner get rid of players than the manager. So I hope they stick to that. I know it's looking dark right now, but it's a long process. So I think, like, when Arteta got knocked out by Villarreal in the Europa League, when they finished 8th, I thought he'd be gone by Christmas of that year. Christmas of that year, they were challenging for top 4 and we were in the trenches. Ollie had just gone and we were looking horrible. So football can change like that. Because
Absolutely.
Arteta had a process and the board trusted him and the board invested in him. It's crazy to think that Ten Hag has spent a lot of money. Well, United have spent a lot of money with Ten Hag and there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see what happens, circumstance and all that. There is some things for Liverpool, for Man United, of course, that are significantly shown. So one is above board really does need to change. The ownership does need to change. Facilities, squad, the lot does need changed, improved upon, but also improved upon the right way. We'll see if Anthony returns tomorrow against Galatasaray. He is potentially in there. The difference of the ownership, so of course, like, Ineos could spend up to 1.5 billion if they were to acquire a quarter of United shares to take control, to get any sort of minority stake in the club. Sheikh Jassim is still the same, like 5 billion, take it or leave it. I think he's just full of shit. I don't think he's even going to bother. I think he's just saying words to force more. If he genuinely wanted it, he could have bought it by now. I don't know. It feels like it's not going to be the same. But there's definitely a lot there that has to change. I just want to touch up on a few things. Obviously, Maisie was here earlier on. Hopefully she's still watching. Good results of the weekend for the women's teams. Obviously, Chelsea winning 2-1 against Tottenham. Good result for them. They did get a goal. Obviously, there was a goal pulled back. Like Martha Thomas, like ex-Man United, like pulled a goal back. Really good goal for them. There was a goal ruled out. Quite interesting. That was the Guro Reichin ghost goal as it was. Like, still, champion Chelsea, of course, taking that, and they win. The defending champions are off to a flying start. Man United 2-1 against Aston Villa as well. Good result for United. Strong opposition beaten as well on the opening day of the season. I'm happy with that. Good goals. Engage as well. Quality player. A few things though. Blundell, please don't play the right back ever again. Please do not. She does not look comfortable. Liverpool winning against Arsenal. Big one for United. Really impressive. That is significant for them. All in all, happy for United as well. But it is Arsenal next week, so hopefully United can get a strong result against Arsenal away from home. But we'll
Russo made a mistake. Arsenal aren't looking good right now. It's not looking good. Russo made a mistake.
We can enjoy Europe. She can enjoy the Conti Cup. Anyway, so good for United in that sense. Right. All I'm going to say is thank you, Wolves. That's your lot.
The Korean guy.
The disrespect.
Yep, absolutely.
Once he said that, I was there like, oh my god, we're gonna see something, aren't we?
Yeah. All I'm gonna say as well is Harry Kane, you're lucky you got a penalty, mate. Heinrichs, that was never a penalty. You can't tell me that you're jumping from a wall and raising your arm to transition in there as a penalty. Harry Kane gifted another penalty, which of course led to Bayern clawing it back to draw 2-2 at Leipzig.
Lucky. Bayern were lucky to come away with that with a draw, I think.
Leipzig were the better team.
Leipzig was smoking them.
Yeah, good for Blaswich. Had a good game in goal for Leipzig. Sven Ulreich, very smart at the very end to deny Benjamin Šeško from sealing the win with that clearance.
That could have gone so wrong, though.
Yep, excellent timing.
I think there was a bit of luck there, actually.
Yep,
because that could have gone so wrong.
Yeah, excellent timing from Sven Ulreich. Lazio beaten again. That's 4 years in a row they've lost at San Siro to AC Milan. 4 years running in the league. Since 2019, they've failed to beat. Since 2018, they've failed to beat AC Milan at home. Obviously, there was very clear evidence of VAR being used. Ciro Immobile was in an onside position. He was onside, by the way, up to the pass when he did run behind Tomori, runs in behind, puts himself in an offside position. He wins the ball, passes it back to Pedro, who scores a lovely goal in the top right corner from a returning Mike Maignan. However, correct decision shows Immobile was offside. Pedro's beautiful goal disallowed. 2-0 Milan. 3 wins before the derby loss to Inter. 3 wins post the win back-to-back. So it's immediate responses for Milan. Inter Milan still top of the league. Obviously, 4 goals. Lautaro Martinez scored all 4 against Salernitana. Napoli won as well at the weekend. Good for them. It's shaping up for a strong season again from Serie A, which we're high on it. I'm just going through the results quickly to make it easier for everybody. Juventus are just carrying on doing their thing, except winning a match. They drew 0-0 to Atalanta. Roma winning 2-0 against Frosinone.
Lukaku again.
Yep.
Reece's man scoring again.
Nah, my pal Lorenzo Pellegrini scored instead. Dybala and Pellegrini were the two substitutions. Dybala is looking comfortable since come back from injury. He got the double assist for both goals. He's a good player. El Shaarawy unused sub, which pissed me off. But genuine circumstance, Juventus just categorically they had 5 shots to Atalanta's 15 in that game. Like genuinely not good performance for the record Italian champions. Well, record time Italian champions, of course, but they're still in contention for the Champions League, of course, for next year. They're still firing all cylinders. Will they go far? We'll find out. Just want to give one shout to Takefusu Kubo, who, in my opinion, scored the goal of the weekend. The free kick against Athletic Bilbao. Beautiful free kick in the top left corner. Fantastic goal. Real Madrid, of course, have went top of the league for the first time this season. We're going past now third place Girona, who do have a 3-point advantage on Atletico Madrid. But if Atletico Madrid win, Atletico will go third. Barcelona remains second. Real Madrid go top with a 3-0 win, but they went down to 10 men when captain Nacho got sent off. Absolute humour. Jude Bellingham again scoring the goal for Real Madrid. Another good performance from Real Madrid especially, but also from Jude Bellingham. We've got through that. Now it's the moment that the lads have been waiting for all night. This is our closing topic of the night. Last one.
Oh, man. Oh, wait, I just remembered what it was. Jesus, I completely forgot about that.
Last one.
Can we at least get my thumbnail on screen for it?
Go for it.
I don't have it, unfortunately.
It's in the Twitter chat. Come on, please.
I'm not bringing it up. I'm not bringing it up. But it is accurate. It is accurate, at least.
For anyone wondering, it's a picture of Noel Edmonds on the phone, and behind him is the big deal or no deal box, but it's Beale or no Beale. I made that 2 minutes before it was announced he was sacked.
I did say beforehand, before whatever happened that he was getting sacked. He did end up getting sacked 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say, 10 months maybe? I've been saying this. That Michael Beale isn't the man for Rangers in general. He isn't. It's not because he's a bad manager. Technically, he is. But there are so many.
He was there for a year.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for 10 months.
Jesus. I thought it was less than a year.
I tried to give him time. I did. I said on this show, like, I will give him time if he can turn it around after what happened with Van Bronckhorst when it went to shit. That lasted 60 days. It lasted 2 months. And the reason it lasted 2 months is because he kept making inept decisions for who was starting games. He kept playing players out of position, made them feel very uncomfortable, so they couldn't have a direct impact in the game. He was clearly managing Rangers again, he was clearly managing for Celtic when you look about it, because he was sabotaging them every time they played a fucking derby game. His style of play did not transition to Europe, apart from the Europa League. The results in the Champions League didn't even get there. Comes down to him. The fact as well, this is another thing we've spoken about tonight about managers having transfer control. Ross Wilson left Rangers in the summer and went to Nottingham Forest. And I was celebrating because he was really making mistakes at Rangers, but he's done really well at Nottingham Forest. Michael Beale had full say on who comes in and who leaves. And when you look at those signings, only one of them, from the summer signings, only one of them genuinely has worked. Now, Todd Cantwell came in January and he worked. Todd Cantwell has been a good player for Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Nikola Raskin has been a good midfielder for Rangers. Jack Butland has been a decent goalkeeper for Rangers. Keith Fuentes has not done enough yet, but that's his first season, but he does need to seriously step up. Sima scored a decent goal a couple weeks ago. Pacey, but has he shown anything consistently? No. Sam Lammers, has he done anything? No. Schifferel Dessers hasn't done anything yet. A certain Mr. Dowell hasn't done anything yet. But yet, he let Ryan Kent go. Good decision for money. He sold Fashion Sakala for $4 million to Saudi Arabian club. Okay. He was inconsistent, but he worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
He let Antonio Cholak go. Morelos left. He brings back Leon Balogun for experience at centre-half, but okay. He still persists with Tavernier as a full-back. When Tavernier's a winger. He's clearly a winger because he attacks all the fucking time. But he's a good player, but he attacks all the time. Ridvan Yilmaz is a decent player, but he barely stays fit. And also the fact is he played in the space of 7 weeks. He played a 4-4-2, a 4-4-2 diamond, a 4-2-3-1, a 4-4-2 diamond, a 4-2-3-1, and then the past couple of games he's been playing a 4-3-3, which has actually been Rangers' best pressing system, the 4-3-3. Continuously making changes, stupid excuses, and he did leave without winning their trophy, even though he's got Rangers to a semi-final. So whoever comes in, well, even though at the moment Stephen Davis is interim manager, there is so many issues at this club that even myself, I do not see change. Now Michael Beale completely got his tactics wrong against Aberdeen.
I agree.
But you cannot be losing 3-1 to Aberdeen at home and having a player sent off. There's no excuses for that. There is genuinely no excuse for that. Rangers have got a serious amount of problems they need to fix. Graham Potter's apparently linked with the job. I'm not a fan of Graham Potter, but if he comes in, I will give him a chance. Do I think he's the right man? No. I said I wanted a German approach because this team needs to seriously be shown how to work and press teams properly. But I have no idea who comes in. But I'm going to ask, lads, I know you guys prefer Celtic and that's completely fine. But coming from my perspective about how much pain I'm seeing and feeling, and it's fine, but genuinely, what's your thoughts on Rangers right now, and where do you think they go from here? Genuinely,
it's a long shot, but I think with Mick Beale in particular, if you look at the last couple of clubs that he's left, it seems like he just leaves them in a worse position. I mean, QPR not immune from the ownership problems that they've had.
Yep.
Look at where they are. Rangers run into the floor. Why do I think they take it? Personally, the only way I can see it working is a long-term rebuild approach. I know you've had this many a time before and you saw it under Steven Gerrard, but the only way I think you're going to be able to even go back to compete with Celtic, who we all know are not going to be immune from their problems, we might even see with the way they started the season as St Mirren or an Aberdeen, or even, well, if a miracle even happens, at Hearts. If you see these teams starting to push through, then it's gonna get more competitive. But ultimately, Celtic have their problems bringing back Brendan Rodgers. That's going to completely capitulate from what Postecoglou built really well. And ultimately, you just got to look at it as a long-term approach with this, unfortunately. Short-term, it might be temporary plaster fixes until the end of the season. Look to secure Champions League football, even though it's a long shot with the way that things are working at the moment. But for me, take your time with the appointment. Let Stephen Davis do what he's got to do to add stability to the club. But ultimately, is he the manager to take you forward? Absolutely not. I think you guys just need to take your time with it.
Who would you put in the job if it was up to you?
No idea.
Would you put Graham Potter in that job?
Part of me says yes, part of me says no.
Go on.
As a short-term patch fix, absolutely not. And especially if they don't let him implement his philosophy and his ideas and his scouting network, which we already know. Potter's scouting network is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you go in long-term with Potter, you're going to be looking at league titles. You're going to be looking at Champions League qualifications. Potter has the European pedigree as well to push you forward. Say, for example, if you end up falling into the Europa League, he'll get you through back to a final. He can navigate it really well, but it's just the way that you use Potter. You can either use him. There's 3 ways of using him. One, use him like he did, like Brighton did, and like Ostersons did.
Yep.
Use him like Swansea did, which will cause him to walk after he had his ideas initially go through, but then gets burnt at the stake the following season because just let all his players go. You won't let anyone be brought in who's like, right, I'm off to Brighton.
Yep.
Or you can do the Chelsea approach, not give him time, lose the dressing room, pump it full of egos because of Todd Bowley's fantasy dream, get sacked. If you get the Ostersons and you get the Brighton Potter, you'll go a long way.
There is an international break coming up as well. I would say stick with Davis until the break. Then after that, I would put someone in. If Potter goes in during that international break, he literally walks back into a fresh team that comes back from internationals. And he does have, well, to be fair, the semi-final is there, but potentially he could walk in where he could potentially walk into a cup final. And there's no Celtic to go up against them in this cup final. there's genuinely a possibility. I mean, I'm the one thing that really bugs me about Potter is that it was so much chances created, but it was more about everyone talks about it. It was just to talk about the XG for Potter.
Yeah.
It was just about but it was genuinely there is some good football there, but the chances were not being clear, were not being taken. He needs to play. If he wants it to work, he really needs to get the players on side that are going to seriously create chances. Now, Stephen Davis will probably just get the team organised and he'll look to try and work press teams, etc. But he's never really coached a team before, so this is going to be very interesting to see what he does. But if Potter does get the job, again, I'm not a massive Potter fan, but I will give him a chance. Michael Beale, thank fuck you're gone. Julio, yourself, listen to that. What's your overall thoughts on Rangers? And the same question, who would you put in, or what do you think Rangers should do?
Listen, I like laughing at Rangers and Reece specifically just as much as like anyone else, to be honest. But if we're looking at it objectively, Steven Gerrard left almost 2 years ago. You've had two managers since, both of which have seen turmoil endings for different reasons. Correct. You know, Van Bronckhorst had you looking really good based on European pedigree, but that was almost built before.
The thing is, what I would like to say about Van Bronckhorst is when Steven Gerrard left, he had all the foundations to push Rangers forward, and he literally put a nuke in the middle of it, imploded it, left you guys in a worse position, and had Mick Beale just put in to try and mop it up. But even then, with his managerial experience and what he left at QPR, he was just going to add another nuke to the fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would also agree with a long-term approach as well. But I worry that if you get the long-term approach wrong, the trap door out of the top two opens for Rangers.
True.
I'm not. There's a few names I'm thinking about. What Nathan has said there about Graham Potter has inclined me to actually put him on the list, because originally he wasn't even on the list. Like, I would have put Graham Souness on the list, and that's just for halftime entertainment beforehand, just as a piss take. But
he has managed Rangers before, but it has been a while since he's managed the team. A long time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, jokes aside, there is a few managers, and Reece, you've mentioned a few of them, because what I'm thinking is a manager. I mean, I couldn't think of a name below Rangers in the Scottish League or in the EFL. I couldn't think of a name off the top of my head that could possibly take over.
There's one thing for sure that I will add there. Calling it now, it definitely won't be a manager from the EFL this time.
I agree.
Of course not.
I agree.
I was trying hard to think, and I just couldn't think of someone.
No one will take the job.
That John Eustace was on a list. Kjetil Knutsen from Beale'd is also on the list. Potter's on that list.
Eustace won't take the job just because of what he's got at Birmingham, and it's quite mad to think that a year or like if we said this last year, we'd think that
jump at the gun. Yeah,
exactly. He will stay at Birmingham because he'll be backed more by the owners.
Yeah, the Alkmaar manager,
and the fact that there is a good feel about Birmingham at the moment.
Yeah, the Alkmaar manager was also on a list I've seen, but like, if he hadn't taken the Marseille job, I genuinely think the manager would have been Gattuso.
Yeah, which would have just caused even more sanity, and in fact, I could even see Aberdeen and St Mirren finishing against you if you employed him.
The thing is, though, Gattuso would have got that team organised, though, his way, and if they didn't listen to him, they would be out.
He would.
But who knows? But we'll see. But anyway, Julio, as you were, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the names you mentioned on there was on my list as well. It's looking realistically, and you look at the Alkmaar manager, you look at Bodo Glimt manager. I can't remember the names.
Kjetil Knutsen's the Bodo Glimt manager.
I mentioned Ruud van Nistelrooy in the group chat yesterday. I think he'd be a realistic option, but the key is what Rangers want to build. You know, Graham Potter's also on the list, and I think that I wouldn't go as far as to say that he would I wouldn't say go as far as say Graham Potter would put you like right at the top in terms of Europe and stuff or trophies, but I think he'd get you back up there where you'd want. And maybe if you give him time and the right recruitment and right backing, then maybe it would look good. As an outside name, I had what's his name? I think it's Gallardo, former River Plate manager.
See.
Former River Plate manager, because obviously they've got Demichelis now, who's just won them a trophy, but Gallardo had a good pedigree over a year or so ago.
See, that's like, there's managers like him, there's managers like another one I like Leonardo Jardim, fantastic managers, but they're so pricey. I think Gallardo is so good. He would demand so much money, I think.
Well, he's out of work at the moment, I believe, so I don't think it would take. It would take much. I just think there's possible for a language barrier, but I just think he was more of an option where I think if they're going to go outside the box here, probably him. But I think that's just. I think him changing from Argentina to Scotland, I think is a different. It's just you can see what I mean there.
It is. I think it's very.
I think any one of those names that we've been mentioned, whether it's Potter, the Alkmaar manager, the Bodo Glimt manager, Van Nistelrooy, even Gallardo, if they want to break the bank a little bit, I think a short list of those 5 names, I don't think is the worst list in the world. And I think the key thing is they need to get this appointment correctly. They need to know what they've got, what they want, and who I think best fits.
See, if he wasn't such a high-paying job as well, you know what's crazy as well is it. See, if he wasn't employed at the minute, I think Eddie Howe would have been top of that list.
Well, Eddie Howe was linked with a Celtic job, wasn't he?
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Oh, you've got.
He was being
no way. Okay, there's 2 names here that are showing. So. One is Pascal Jensen, who was once playing with the job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the unbeaten start. Like Pascal Jensen is the Alkmaar manager. He's on the list. Yeah, Dutch football coach. Yeah, Alkmaar.
Born in England, though.
But 50 years old as well. Good age. But the other one that's just popped into the names as well, who, funnily enough, was on the last time that I said may not even get there. McInnes is back on it. Apparently, Frank Lampard's broke silence on the Rangers job as well. No thanks. We do not want him. Simon Jordan actually said that
Souness.
Rangers need Souness.
I said that does sound like the kind of thing he'd say. That would be interesting, actually.
Kevin Muscat is apparently ready to take the job.
Muscat? I don't know much about him.
He manages in Yokohama. Funnily enough, the same team that Postecoglou used to manage. But he's also ready to take the job of returning to. He used to play at Rangers. But he tried to get the job 10 months ago and they said no. They turned him down. But he's willing to take over.
But what's his pedigree like? I mean, how does he differ? How does he differ from Ange? Because, if he comes over, there will be sections of the media going, oh, they're just copying Celtic, getting him from the same place, all that malarkey. What's his pedigree looking like?
It's the same style of play. It's the exact same style of play. He does have a League Cup semi-final, which is a double-header. He's got that to do. And he does have the Asian Champions League to come up with as well. So I think that will take precedence.
When does their season end?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because because if they go into that one, my theory is because I can't remember.
Well, he only has weeks on his current contract. He had
exactly. That's what I mean. If he's only got a few weeks, Stephen Davis can hold the fort for a bit. They get him on that. So he's in ready for probably the November international break or the December period. See what he's got nicely into January. So he's got like 4, 5, 6 weeks with this current squad. See what they're about. If the club want to make business in January, I think maybe, I don't know, just if I was in that boardroom, and unfortunately I don't know much about Muscat, but from what you're saying, and I just think from almost the suitability, I think it'd be worth a gamble, because I just think the way it all aligns nicely, because you've got to think obviously strategic, like, right, we want someone to come in, we want him to know what he's got and invest in January in good time, right?
Yeah,
because a lot of the other managers on the list that I said are either out of work, like Potter, for example, or the others were only in October. Many of them, most of them, may not even want to leave until maybe the end of the season. So do you hold the fort with a short-term appointment to the end of the season, or do you get someone in now?
Yeah.
Maybe not sack off the rest of the season, but see what you got, work with what you got, and then January, see what you can get in, and then obviously progress throughout the season. So it's almost like it's like an inset period.
Yeah, I agree.
For what's coming in the summer.
I've been looking at I've just had a quick glance over this. Funnily enough, it's a Daily Record sport article, right? This is funny. This literally went up just under 3 hours ago, right? And this is each member was asked to pick their next Rangers manager. So Keith Jackson says 2 names already leading the way in the shape of Kevin Muscat and Derek McInnes. So he's literally named them, but he said that he's actually went for McInnes, because obviously it's pragmatic, but he used to play with Rangers, especially under Watersmith. David McCarthy, he has also said McInnes, but he did mention Muscat, but he says McInnes is less of a risk. Andy Newport immediately said Kjetil Knutsen. Immediately. Craig Swan, said Kevin Muscat. Fraser Wilson said Kjetil Knutsen. So that's 2 for Knutsen. Gavin Berry said that he's convinced the Rangers board will go for Kevin Muscat because he ticks boxes. However, he says Rangers should go for Derek McInnes. It shouldn't be dismissed. There's one here that will make Doug go mental. Gordon Park said that Rangers should go for David Martindale. Now, I know his son. His son's sound. And I don't, even he would go, no way is my dad getting the Rangers job. If you're going to go smart, I think Derek McInnes is a smart job. If he's already aware of the league, like he's already well in tune with the league, he already understands Rangers itself.
I think he's a safe bet.
But if you want to go for expansive style of play and good football and will lead to something, it's Potter or Knutsen. Muscat, I'm not sure. I don't know. I just know that he used to play for Rangers, but I'm not sure what his style is. I think it'd be quite. It seems to be the same thing as Postecoglou, but Postecoglou has more experience as a manager.
Postecoglou had more of a pedigree.
I don't think you should copy your rivals. Personally, I don't think Rangers should copy Celtic, but Rangers should look to get an aggressive style of play in that team, an aggressive pressing style. And McInnes did that at Aberdeen for quite some time. They were aggressive, but eventually they just backed out on him, and they've been reaping the negativity since. But they've actually played really well since. I'll give them that. They played well under Robson this year. But I think if McInnes comes out of Kilmarnock and goes into Rangers, I'm okay with that. If we go for Kjetil Knutsen, I'm okay with that. He's done really well at Bodo Glimt. If they go for Graham Potter, who's out of a job, I'm okay with that. But the one thing they need to do They need to not just get like a new manager in, they need to get a director of football in, because the new manager should not have transfer control. They should just give their targets and focus on getting a style of play in, and focus on winning games style the right way, and also winning trophies. Anything else you lads want to add before we close it?
Don't think so. I think we've covered it.
I wanted to ask, actually. I know it's late, but I wanted to ask, especially you, Reece, because obviously you follow Serie A quite heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to ask about your thoughts on the almost war-laden comments over the weekend or over the last week regarding Lazio and Sarri, because I think it's crazy how one person's coming out like, this is what I wanted, and someone going, this is what I'm saying, and this is what I said. I just wanted your thoughts on it. Both of you, actually. I wanted Nathan's thoughts and Reece's thoughts.
Tell you the truth, it's got to the stage with Lazio where Sarri's a good manager, but he is not taking them anywhere. It's crazy. They were the second best defense in the league last year, and they finished second. They've went backwards. Like how you can explain that, I can't. But the comments were fucking shocking. They were shocking. I have got no idea what is going on with Lazio, but they are a complete joke, and Sarri is becoming a joke. Like he's becoming a bigger joke than he was when he got kicked out of Chelsea after winning their trophy. An even bigger joke after he won Serie A with Juventus. This guy's being mugged. I have got no idea really what else to add on that, but it's ridiculous. It's even more of a disgrace than what's going on with Napoli as well.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, as you said, we've seen it before with Sarri. He's taken them to their limit, and I don't know what it is after one great season under him, it just implodes. Don't know whether it's a mentality issue, but yeah, get rid as soon as possible and rebuild.
Yep.
But who would they go in for, gents? Who comes in? If Sarri went tomorrow, who comes in? Forget who's available or who's not available. Think realistically, who could they go for?
They need somebody who understands what Lazio's all about, and Lazio is always about the strength of the Roman side, and always fighting Roma for superiority in the side, but also playing good football.
That reminds me of something else, actually. I wanted to ask you, gents. Antonio Conte's comments regarding Roma in 2019 came back into the fold in the last week because of what's happening at Roma at the moment, where it seems like Mourinho's under pressure. I don't know if you guys have seen the comments. This is where Conte in 2019, apparently, him and Totti as well came out. Totti was like, I thought it was done when Conte went to Inter in 2019. Totti was like, I thought it was done. I thought he was coming to Roma. And Conte was like, one day I will probably manage Roma and talked about the club and the fans and the feelings. So
I think you'll get that ultimate swerve.
Yeah.
Where Sarri could end up at Roma.
You reckon that could happen?
Sarri could end up at Roma. Play the football they haven't played since Spalletti, technically. The possession style of play that suits them really well. Sarri goes there. Mourinho goes and gets one last big job, or big paying job. Newcastle. Conte potentially could end up at Lazio.
You reckon Conte would be better suited for Lazio over Roma?
When you look at it, the system and the style, immediately he can walk into Roma, and he doesn't have to change the system. He just needs to get the players playing his way.
Yeah.
The challenge for him at Roma is you're changing him from a possession-based team to an aggressive, transitional, counter-attacking side. They have the players for that. He has the players for it at Roma as well. But also look at the players at that Roma team. There's one player in that squad, actually no, there's two, that will really tell the difference of opinion on him. One of them is Lukaku.
Sorry.
Because does he stick with Lukaku as a lone striker, or does he partner him? And the second one is Paulo Dybala. Because that's a creative player that he has wanted to manage for quite a while. Not Dybala specifically, but a creative player. Where he has
Of that
creative...
ilk.
Yes. But he doesn't have a good track record with staying on creative players' good side. Doesn't have a good track record, but he's a very bullish, aggressive manager who will not be afraid to speak his mind. It fits well with either of those clubs. He could walk into Roma. He doesn't have to change the system. It's just getting him playing his style of play. Or he goes to Lazio, who have been mix and match for well over a decade. I think he would more likely do that. Because he's not getting the AC Milan job. He's not getting that.
No.
He's not getting the Juventus job.
I think his chance for both of those jobs is gone now.
Yeah.
Yes. He's not getting the Inter Milan job because Inzaghi's clicking.
Somehow.
As he wanted to. Yep, somehow. But he's clicking. Pioli is getting some good wins at AC Milan, but I don't think it lasts. Like, I think the performances will, but I don't think he lasts in the job. But I think they'll look elsewhere. I think immediately if Pioli gets a sack, it's De Zerbi that replaces him. And that's the right transition. Mourinho, you have to have a manager who has a similar style to him, but it has to be more aggressive, so Conte makes more sense. But if you want a different look on his aggression, Sarri is that difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure. I am not sure where they go from here. I don't know. But
so much up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it generally is. It's.
I think he'll partner Lukaku with Dybala, the same way he tried to at Chelsea in his second season, where Morata didn't have the best output, and he tried to play a 3-5-2 with Hazard as almost like the second striker next to Morata. I think we'll probably, if Conte went into Roma, I think we'd probably see that. If it was me, I'd play almost like a 10 with Dybala as the 10, and with Tammy Abraham to come back. But in the meantime, Belotti would partner Lukaku. But that's just me personally trying to just increase the chances of having strikers in the box. But
yeah, I agree with you.
I know it's really very interesting concepts at play in Serie A at the moment regarding who could go and who could come in.
So many mixture style of play as well. That's the crazy thing. There's so much mixture. Not every
We
team's
love
playing the
variety.
same. Yep. I would like to see what happens. We'll definitely find out. Right. Anyway, we have done a lot tonight, and we are genuinely proud. The new regime has reached its ending for tonight. For the first show of the new regime tonight. It's definitely come to that. But still, we will say goodbye from me, goodbye from him, goodbye from him, and also everybody, thank you for watching the World of Football podcast, and we will see you next week with Nathan hosting. So we know it's going to be...
And pending discussions, things may look a little bit different.
Absolutely.
He's getting buzz cut.
Stay tuned.
Nathan's getting a buzz cut.
Never.
I will be there no matter what.
And on that Gambon corner, it's time to end. Goodbye for now.